All right, we are back. I am sorry, everyone on YouTube. My computer decided to completely wonk out on me, and I had to restart everything. So hopefully you guys can hear me now, and everybody else. But yes, today is GME night, and I'm excited because I want to go through some old stuff and some new stuff. We got Radio in here, and I know she has a GME coin or something that she wants to talk about that I'm very excited to hear about. And Ghost and Chef is up here with me too. But so I will start this off so we can get the hype going, is that we got our partnership today. We are officially partnered up on YouTube. So I am so excited because that is going to help pay for the cost of the magazine and everything else that I'm trying to do for BullHouse, because everything we're doing through BullHouse is out of pocket. Like, we're not taking out loans, we're not doing anything like that. So anything that I've done for BullHouse right now, I've paid for. So the Ortex that we were running for a while, now I've canceled it because I don't trust it most days. So, and I do have someone that has a Bluebird, so I'm getting more information. Not that I trust that very much anymore either, but I'm getting more, in-depth information now when I'm doing my deep dives. So there's that. But yeah, anything that we do, programs I use to run all of the podcasts and edit videos and everything, that's all out of pocket. So I will never, ever, ever, I'm going to reiterate this, I will never ask anybody for money, ever, right? The main context of the magazine, there will probably be a $5 a month subscription for the magazine, but nothing educational. Okay, the magazine is kind of like the fun stuff, like, it's going to be articles, and that way I can pay content creators and we can, get really cool interviews and things like that. The first one, and I'm working on this, I'm trying to figure out how to do this. I'm going to do 300 to 500 of them as an NFT, but the rest of them are going to be free. The first edition is going to be free of the magazine, because that is literally going to be like a throwback, like we were just talking about, a throwback from old DD and how everything was kind of formed, and the how to meet. So I'm still trying to work out the kinks on getting the NFT aspect of it. But yeah, I think that'll be a really cool one to have. So, and then, throughout time, BullHouse will start releasing NFTs here and there. But again, the education part of it, anything that we find, because that's where the website's going to come into play too. Educational purposes, everybody has, I don't care how much money you have in your bank, if it's $1 or $1 million, everybody has the right to financial literacy. Holy shit, Brent is in here. Pokemon. Oh my goodness. Oh, tonight's gonna be freaking epic. But yeah, so that is my big news. Like, we made our partnership. We got it last, like, we got the notification 2 days ago. I got it set up yesterday once my brain could actually work. And then we got the notification today that it is all set up. So again, I'll leave it up to you guys. I have the option to do the super chats. I don't agree with them, because I do try to keep up with chat and I try to answer everybody. Like, I don't want you guys to have to feel like you have to pay to do super chats. It's craziness like that. Like, that's stupid. But if you guys say yes, I'll put it on, whatever. But like you guys know, anything from the magazine, anything we make from YouTube, 30% of it will go to a charity of your guys' choosing. I will put it out in the community, say, hey, let's pick 5. I'll put it to a vote, and then whatever one wins out of that 5, that's the charity it's going to. So that's what I'm excited for. That's, and plus it's going to help my pet project of building tiny homes for veterans and first responders. I have a whole big thing about that I could talk about, but that's not what we're talking about tonight. Tonight is GME. So if Brent wants to come up and speak, Radio, I'm looking forward to you and anybody else that has something to talk about. So, but yes, that's my news. So how's everyone?
Pretty good.
Doing great.
It's awesome.
Awesome.
So Radio, we can start with you if you want to dive into your GME coin. Like, what is this? I've not heard about it.
Yeah, coin's probably well, it's a token. So I'm only going to talk for a little bit because I don't want to hijack the whole thing, but we're going to talk about it more tomorrow night during the crypto talk. We're going to spend the last hour talking about this specifically. It's a lot of info. So basically, I dug into the blockchain ledger and found a wrapper outside of the GME coin that everybody has seen on the NFT webpage. and found that there is a wrapper just outside of it that's basically abstracting everybody from seeing the transactions that are occurring on the blockchain, because of course the blockchain is open. So
I look
they've
forward to that
been
too.
doing, like, there's a ton of transactions. They've been doing things for months, just outside the GME coin, or the, what everybody's calling GME, but it's sure at this point if it's going to be. We don't know if it's going to come in with value. We don't know if it's something that can be used on the exchange. We do know that it's an ERC token, or ERC20 token. If you go to their page today, they've got the moon on there. We know that it's a token and it's going to be wrapped in, smart contracts. So this is going to be wrapper around a wrapper around a wrapper. And we can see that there's smart contracts associated with, financial portfolio rebalancing. There's a token for a company called Formation Financial, and that is a DeFi company that does all sorts of financial portfolio stuff. There's an ape on the page. There's a glacier. We know that from the meme, the glacier meme. And then there's a lot of in-game coins that he's obviously gone to video game makers and said, do you have in-game currency? Okay, we're going to make you a token, and I want to be able to exchange with you. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the blockchain ledger that indicates that this is coming. Yeah, in terms of what kind of value are people going to get them? What is it going to be worth? Is it a dividend? Like, I can't speak to any of that, but what's, a large amount of transactions went in on Sunday, and that's kind of stopped. And it looks like they've been, gas fees, but so they bring it in with Uniswap. And I think they're trying to avoid gas fees, obviously, because you can't dump as many tokens as they've tried to dump on the blockchain. So they've been trickling them in for about a month and a half, and the volume's pretty large. So there's that. And then we know that, and this, I shouldn't say we know, but there's obviously a Loopring relationship here because of Matt Feinstein, the CTO. He came from Loopring. He's the head of blockchain for GameStop now. And the Loopring just committed updates to their protocol 7 days ago that is allows for smart wallets and NFT support. So when you put all this together, right, the picture that we're seeing is we've got, smart wallets that can be generated on the fly. Oh, the other thing is when you take the dev's test wallet from the GitHub repository and you plug that into either Scan.io, there's a token in there for wallet insurance. So that that's kind of a an indicator that what's inside the wallet is going to be valuable, and they want to protect it. So anyway, the picture that it paints for me personally, and I could be wrong, but the picture that it paints is that he's creating a smart wallet. It's a multi-user wallet. You can assign brokers to it. You can and broker as in people who can take action on your behalf, but they're not an owner. There's logic. You can set quotas, incoming, outgoing. It's got security, recovery options. You've got there's guardians for the wallet. You can have a group of people that have to have a majority vote to take action with the contents inside of the wallet. So it's not really a wallet. It's more like a bank. It's pretty cool. So so we know there's this badass wallet, that's coming. And then we've got evidence of this coin that is going to have all these amazing smart contracts associated with it. And so what it sounds like to me is there's something coming with the GME coin that's going to be in this wallet, and it's going to help bring people into the DeFi space and kind of help cryptocurrency become more mainstream. There's a couple other coins that are neat that we saw, tokens. One is for Zenith, a company that does point of sale terminals and hardware wallets. So it sounds like this company may provide you with the physical, manifestation of your wallet. And then the other company is AMP, Flexa. They do digital payments, and it sounds like they're really focused on making sure that people can use their crypto online. So maybe a plugin or something that is an exchange that will do it on the fly. I'm not totally familiar with that, but all signs point to it's gonna be an amazing wallet. It's gonna have some shit in it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I look forward to the full hour of this. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's so brilliant. Like, I mean, like I've said, like the fact that GameStop, they saw their problems and now they are trying to revamp, and like I say, they're trying to go into the 22nd century, right? Like, they know that crypto is the way to go, cloud base is the way to go. And plus diving in, Fry's Electronics went out, they're seeing that little niche in there too, doing PC modular PC parts and everything. So no, they've definitely got a lot of things going for them. King Diamond Hands, hey buddy, how are you? Oh boy.
Hi. Wasn't really here to speak, just kind of actually wanted to lurk. I've heard some good things about the lady that was just speaking. Have not met her, but very, very, very impressed and excited to hear some more about what she's got going on. So just kind of here to lurk, and I'll chime in if anything pops into my head. But right now I'm just playing Doom and listening to some smarter people than me.
That's pretty much what I'm doing. I don't really have anything to contribute. Not already known.
Yes, Radio's only been on Twitter maybe a week now. She's taken it by storm, that's for sure.
It's like my destiny. Somebody asked me like, how the hell did you find that? And the answer is I don't know. Like the ETH scan, it actually these blockchain ledger browsers don't have support, like all the support for these smart contracts, and they're it's like nested stuff. They're wrappers upon wrappers upon wrappers. So like it's a BigQuery Explorer, and you just plug the thing in there and you go up one level and it's all there. So I think people have been looking at the coin ID, in Etherscan. They're like, there's no transactions here, and that's true. But they wanted it to be abstracted from us and competitors. So, but I feel comfortable telling folks. I think it's important when you think about the end game, to consider, if you sell all your shares on the way up, like you're going to miss out on whatever this is, and it's looking to be really cool. I mean, the smart contract. I mean, he's got tokens for charities. I mean, I don't know what he's doing, but it's cool. It's really cool looking. So,
well, so Radio, I've got a noob question for you. So, if you're a crypto noob or an NFT noob, not financial advice, of course, but what wallets would you recommend looking into?
Oh, MetaMask. MetaMask is a great one. So that's it's Coinbase has been in trouble recently. They're doing some weird shit. So at MetaMask is definitely the one that I'd recommend. And if you DM me, there's the gas fees are really high for Ethereum. If you want to learn more about like Polygon and how to make transfers or do transactions without gas fees, let me know. I can send you a YouTube, or actually I can post it in here in a second.
Look at you. I'm so proud of you, Radio. Like, you're just like, no, look, I can get this up in the nest. I can show this. Like, girl, you are. I'm
killing it.
She is. Like,
really? You guys are so nice.
Yeah. Oh, because like, so guys, so you guys don't know, like, I think it was it your first night on Twitter? Like, you joined my space and you were just like, because we were talking about NFTs. Was that your first night on?
Yeah, I was like, what is this?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna pile on here too. Like, yeah, you have been awesome. You kind of came out of nowhere, but you have really good information. Like I said, I revived my Twitter account. It's like similar to you. Like I've had a Twitter account for a long time, but I never used it. I finally figured out how to take my real name off of there, which is kind of cool. And like, yeah, I mean, I revived it for this as well. So yeah, I think it's awesome. We're the BullHouse has quite the pull, I must say.
Conway, what's going on? I'm so happy you're up here.
Oh, hey, what's up? I just wanted to ask, even with Ethereum EIP 1559, are gas fees still considered high? I thought they had gone down a lot.
Radio,
Yeah.
I think that was
Oh, yeah. I mean, the gas fees, I mean, even Ethereum, I mean, they know that these gas fees are high and they're not consistent. They're highly volatile. And it's not, you know, the people in the artist community, they're, some of them are picking up on Polygon, you know, too late, and they're paying, you know, 150 to upload an NFT, which is crazy. And I mean, they know it's crazy, and that's why they're trying to move up their roadmap for ETH 2.0. And I mean, it's just high. It's just high. And some people are like, oh, I wait until 2 and then I do it. And, you know, from 2 to 2:30, it's pretty low. That's the lowest I've seen. And so it's a, you know, it's not something that's like, that's not scalable. You know, that's not something that's, that folks are going to want to do long term, you know? So, I think it has gotten better, and as people make use of these DApps that allow you to, take action off chain, and then, you know, you can make a decision to kind of let it, the transaction going slowly, like 8 minutes versus 1 minute. I personally would wait, you know, that 10 minutes and pay $1.50 than 1 minute for 150, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And not to get too far off topic, but I'd asked this question before, but I'm interested in your perspective on it. I mean, do you think the high gas fees for Ethereum are you know, bullish or promising for a, you know, buyer and holder of Ethereum in general?
I
Yeah,
think it's,
oh, go ahead.
I think it's both. I'll let you speak first, Radio. I think it can be both.
Yeah, it can be both. I mean, look, it's not efficient right now. The underlying infrastructure is you know, they've got a lot of tech debt that they're trying to get out of, and that's what ETH 2.0 is about. The roadmap for that is, you know, late year, early 2022, which is so far away. And you've got Cardano that has a really solid infrastructure and has the ability to do DApps, but you know, I'm bullish on ETH regardless because they're partnered with GameStop. And this is the way I keep putting it to people is if somebody handed you a smartphone and they said, man, this smartphone, that battery's gonna last you over 24 hours. It's so fast smoking. Like, you know, take this one. I'd be like, give me my, oh, but it has 2 apps. Okay. You can make a call, you can send a text. I'd be like, no, give me my old phone that lasts 3 hours and I'll make it work. It's got all my stuff on it. So, you know, the DApp thing is huge, and what they're doing with all these tokens and wrappers and exchanges, and I mean that, you know, just take a look at all the available DApps that are on the Ethereum blockchain, and it's pretty, you know, a lot of the really great DApps are there. So, you know, it's like if you build it, they will come. So I hold Cardano as well. I want to see what they do. Bitcoin, not so much, but well, I'm going to stop right there. Yeah, no, I'm bullish on Ethereum regardless. I mean, they're going to get out of this little mess that they're in, but it's a technical debt issue, and they're inherently complex, but they're going to get themselves out of it, I believe.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, I mean, I'm kind of the same way. I mean, I've looked at, you know, ETH and Cardano, and I'm still a sideliner on the crypto market, but thinking I'm going to change that soon. So, yeah, thank you. That was helpful.
all right, guys. So I'm gonna try to reel this back because it is GME night. All right, King Diamond Hands. I know you're lurking. Conway, I don't know if you're lurking or not, but between the two of you, because I have some of my favorite GME past DD. What is your guys' favorite past DD that kind of pulled you into GameStop? You guys remember?
There's just so much. I don't know about.
Pulled in by a DD. Mine is just I was a long-term customer. Long time, like going back to Funko Land, back like buying NES games, Super NES games, trading them in for like $2, which to a kid at that point was like a king's ransom, even though I was getting shafted. But hey, I knew a store manager at GameStop, and she would always hook me up. I mean, just not only with like release dates and stuff, but just, I mean, if there was something special coming up, she'd let me know. And really what lured me in was Best Buy used to have this reward zone program, and I am an avid gamer, and they did away with it. And once they did that, there was no more coupons, no more reason for loyalty there. And I mean, I price shopped. I wasn't always like as in the money as I am now. I mean, I'm 40 now, so I've got a good job, got a stable income. But when you're in your early 20s and you're gaming, you're looking for frigging deals. And I hovered between them, and then last year, I actually saw a value play in GameStop and got into it pretty early, and I was hearing a lot of shit actually on IGN message boards. Just video game website was reading reviews, and people all of a sudden were talking about that GameStop was a stock play, and I was like, you guys are fucking idiots. It's the pandemic, I was there, my downstairs neighbor worked there, and they made her work during the beginning of COVID in April, and it was horrible, and she didn't want to go, but she was either going in or getting fired, and her father died last year. It was tragic. It was horrible. But I'm a bull, and when I see value, which I did, I sort of followed the rabbit hole, and I bucked the trend, and I said, well, these consoles aren't going to stay in short supply forever. And there's really nobody dominating the space right now. I started hearing rumblings about the esports facility in Dallas with the Dallas Cowboys. I started hearing a little bit about the fact that GameStop had these test stores, which kind of reminded me of like nerdy role-playing stores where they would have like Warhammer nights and Magic the Gathering, that kind of thing, but actually testing it out to bring people together for LAN parties and competitions, which, I mean, 20 years ago, one of my friends, rest his soul, we had an idea, and we, back when PCs had to be connected for LAN parties like Quake and whatnot, we always thought that it would be cool as shit if we could get the money together and build a community center, because people from 18 to 21, all they're doing is getting in trouble anyway. If they're not going to college, there's nowhere to hang out. You either go to diners and smoke cigarettes, go out and get wasted, or you go home. I mean, there isn't much to do. And we thought, a competitive gaming center that also had the ability to socialize and do that kind of stuff would be awesome. So once I heard GameStop had that premise, I said, all right, so they're filling a social need, they're filling a competitive need, they're starting to backfill some of the product. They've got a new CEO coming in. Wow, there is some real deep fucking value here. And that was before I ever knew about Roaring Kitty or anything like that. And then I was just watching YouTube, the dreaded YouTube, back in early January, and there were people that would just parrot Reddit DD. They just parroted it, sat there reading it. And back then, I mean, it was the hot thing to do. There was probably 100 or 200 of these people. And I found this guy that was actually bullish as fuck on Bitcoin. And he had a really brilliant mind, knew what he was talking about, but he got into GameStop because it was just the play at the time. And the guy just sat there and he was so calm. He put on this calm music, and that's the first time I heard the term diamond hands. And immediately I just kind of put two and two together, and I said, all right, well, I'll hold through this. I got nothing to lose. I mean, I'll just dump some money in it, see what happens. I held. And I've been holding for a long time. And that's how I got into GameStop. more fundamentals than anything before I discovered that the entire financial system is a hoax. I got into this believing that I could help transform a company that I love and that I knew and that I hoped could actually turn it around for some of the employees that worked locally that were getting the shaft. And also because I don't like humanity working in warehouses. I don't like everybody not seeing the light of day. I can't stand thinking about all these poor people that are pissing in bottles in warehouses and worried about breaks and worried about getting in trouble. I can't stand that. So I know GameStop is going to have warehouses and they've got distribution centers, and that's okay. But I want them to do well so that the conditions for the workers are better. That's what I see. So that's my statement on GME.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. No, that's awesome. That's exactly why you invest into a company, right?
Yeah. No, that's awesome, and that's huge. And I don't know. I have a little bit of a different take just because I came from a different place with it. I mean, I didn't catch on to it until later. Unfortunately, just because I hadn't been following the way that I now wish that I hoped that I could have. But I mean, even throughout 2020, I mean, I was looking at I mean, I felt like deep down that gaming was a play, and so I started like looking into Steam and things like that, and I'm like, oh, like, why isn't this a publicly traded company? They're making so much money right now, all those things. But I was kind of unfocused for the majority of the initial pandemic, which was unfortunate. I was sitting there playing games instead of following the market and kind of making it more of a productive type deal. But I mean, I caught on to this late. I mean, my average is much higher. Although, I mean, I've bought at multiple points and I am in the green right now. But I guess kind of your initial question in terms of, the inspiring DD. I mean, anybody that's on Reddit that hasn't done this, like, just look at DFV's profile, okay, and go back to all of his submitted posts and go click on comments, and I swear to God, like, it brings tears to my eyes, okay? Like, this guy just got absolutely hammered, by the people in Wall Street Bets, over and over again, because of the losses he was taking, and like, they called him names, they gave him all kinds of shit, and he responded with memes, like, forever and ever, almost every time he started, providing his updates. And I mean, it's not, he's not, he didn't come out of nowhere. I mean, he knew exactly what he was doing the entire time. And, the level of confidence that he was able to maintain through all of that is just amazing. I mean, and a lot of his YouTube videos and stuff like that. Obviously, it's like a DFV, worship thing. I mean, I hope he's doing well. But I can't tell you how much, going back through that, it's quite an experience, really, to go back and look at it. But some of the newer folks that have been on it. I mean, Creand, I know he's gotten a lot of mentions lately, but I caught on to some of his, DD relatively early, I guess, in what you would call his arc. And, it's one of those things, like, he's not always right in terms of the theory that he puts out there, but it's very, very well thought out and very well written. And I mean, I kind of caught on to it, and I'm just like, I think that there's absolutely, like, something here. And that, I mean, a lot of his work is what drew me into looking at the FINRA regulations and going back and, digging into Reg Show, because I'm an accountant by trade, which isn't, directly necessarily related to the market. But I mean, I've worked with a lot of public and private companies over the years, like done audits of public companies, felt like I was participating in the financial realm and to a certain extent protecting the integrity of the financial markets by doing so. Come to find out that, according to the real Mark Baum from, The Big Short, fundamentals are completely disconnected, and that's not a viable investment strategy anymore. So I think a lot of that was eye-opening to me in a sense, because I've spent my career essentially contributing to financial statements that are published in the 10Ks. And I do think those things are important. If you're investing in a company, obviously you want to look at their filings, understand what management has to say, like understand what their financials look like. But he was a big inspiration to me, like along with some of the others. And I apologize because I can't remember the names, but even his original kind of T+35 theory. There were some folks that refuted that originally, which takes a lot of courage to do out there, because as on a lot of these forums, like if you present counter DD, it can be pretty detrimental to your karma rating out there on Reddit if it's not well received. But he took it really well in stride, and like I said, he's not always right. The theory develops, but I think the idea of the community looking at these rules and regulations and understanding the loopholes and just developing everything, like, brings us to where we are now, which it's an amazing time, which I think this is a very, very timely GME podcast night, because here we are on the eve of September 1st, where the DTCC has said that they expect an uptick in margin calls. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the third is when the increased margin deposits go into play, in terms of the initial margin deposits, like, that are based on funds, for all these big players. So the big players will have to put up additional capital. The small players might be the ones that are hurt more by it, because it's a more significant piece of capital for them. But I'm hyped to see what happens, although I feel unfortunate that I can't watch it tick by tick anymore. But I think it's a very good time to be in.
For sure. Thank you. Conway, what was your main thing that got you into GameStop?
In 2019, I was learning more about value investing, and I had seen Michael Burry's 13F, and I thought that it was really interesting that he piled in so heavy into what I thought at the time, which everybody thought at the time, was dying brick and mortar retailers. GameStop, Bed Bath & Beyond, Men's Warehouse, a couple other names. And I knew his success because I had just watched The Big Short, finally. And so I was tracking it for a long time. I may or may not have taken a small position. I don't really remember. And I just saw that everything else was moving much faster and making a lot more profit than these deep value plays. And of course, I got bored because I didn't know what I was doing back then. I learned about swing trading, started doing that, and decided I would all in on Tesla. And that was a good decision. Then I saw I sold out of Tesla. It was kind of in limbo for a while, and then I saw that GameStop was finally moving. I was like, wait a second. In 2019, this stock was much cheaper, so I started digging into that. I took a small position at that point. By January, I was like, wow, this thing is really taken off. So, I'm not going to lie. At that point, I knew about the short squeeze idea going on at the time, and that was the primary reason I invested more heavily at that point in January. I held through the entire dip. I didn't sell. And that whole time I was just trying to learn more because I knew something weird was going on, right? Like stocks, even in a short squeeze situation, the buy button doesn't get turned off. Selling through a trading halt doesn't happen at that magnitude. That many people going crazy for this one stock is unusual. Like there was all these things. Like if it was a poker game and you were sitting down at this table with hedge funds on the other end, terrible poker face. And that's the thing that I just kept thinking of the entire time. I'm like, okay, if you really think the short's covered and you really say that the play is over and the news is saying this and that and everything, why are you still acting this way? Why are billionaires crying on TV? Like, what is really going on here? So at that point, I started digging in more, learning about how everything worked. That gave me confidence that I probably wasn't wrong. And, you know, who knows how many people, millions of people probably all over the world invested into GameStop probably aren't wrong. And then I started digging more into the company itself, and I saw the deep value play. I mean, I was late to the party. I'm not Keith Gill. I didn't get in at whatever price he got in for, right? But I saw the turnaround plan, and now I stay because I'm on board with this turnaround plan. I think there's a tremendous amount of potential here. So that's why I'm staying.
That's fantastic. That is, yeah. I mean, and it's amazing, like that some of us actually miss that, right? Like, you figure people like me, I've been in for 10 years, but I was looking at big top, big tech, Google, Apple, and all of that. Like, I'll get into my story in a sec. Ghost, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I know you guys probably aren't familiar with me. I'm pretty new, but I've went more on the GME end, obviously. I started out probably just trading. I started out trading in October of last year, and I was messing around with OTC stocks. And one that I was in, which I didn't realize at the time, actually blew up in January and February, I guess alongside of AMC and GME or GME. And didn't really realize that until a few weeks ago, actually. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, I was kind of late to the party myself. I think my average is like 206 right now. Hey, I'm in profit now.
Hey, you're finally
But
green.
like
You're
what?
finally green.
Yeah. But back on what King Diamond Hands was saying, yeah, I've worked in a warehouse for over a decade, and it's terrible. People are shitty to each other. We never have time to ever live our lives. I think my days off are Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Yay. But yeah, actually, part of the reason I was trying to help my mother too, because I knew that SSI is going to run out as soon as she's disabled. So she bought AMC at $12, so she's doing pretty good. I'm trying to get her over to this side too. But she bought 10 shares of GME. But I was so compelled by all the DD that I read on Superstonk and all that stuff, and the NFT and all this stuff, the esports. I mean, it's insane. And I used to go to GameStop all the time. I got all my consoles from there and everything. They didn't always have the best deals, but it was there. I've always loved GameStop, and I just see how much more potential is there. Um, it's insane what they're doing. I didn't realize it, and most people haven't, just because the way the media has been bashing it and everything. Nobody really knows, but they will very soon.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. I'm here.
Hey, you're here, and I'm happy you're green again. That 200 hit. I was
Yeah,
like,
I've been
okay.
waiting a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really an awesome point, though, and like in terms of how the media has been bashing it a little bit. And I mean, it's like I remember going to GameStop when it was Babbage's, and I don't know if anybody remembers that, but That was a long time ago, and they had a store like in the mall. And I mean, I remember going there like as a little kid, you know, just enjoying the place that they had. And yeah, the mainstream media has been killing it, like in terms of the pandemic and everything that's been going on there. But I mean, I'll just say I haven't been, an avid GameStop customer over the past probably 10 years or so, but with some of the things that they've done in terms of their merchandising and the things that they've added on. I mean, I've been advocating for them for pretty much anybody that I know, and I've spent more money there in the last quarter than I had in the past 10 years. And I mean, one thing I didn't mention throughout the whole thing was Ryan Cohen. I mean, going back and reading his original letter to the board, before he really made his big buy, was incredible. I mean, he was still a significant influence. Shareholders is probably what we would call it. But the vision that he has for this company, in the work that he does behind the executive management team is pretty incredible. I mean, I think all of us here have quite a bit of faith in him, for a number of reasons, but not to mention his brilliant Twitter posts. But it's just it's a feel good story. In addition to everything else that it is.
Definitely. Like, I mean, anything Ryan touches basically turns to gold at this point. I think we can all kind of agree to that. Paper trading, what's going on?
Hey, how are you guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Nice. How I got into GameStop, I actually remember the day. It was January 24th, a Sunday night. I was about to go to sleep, probably 11 p.m. And I actually started trading when the pandemic started. I'm into sports betting, into the casino. So I was like, that's not happening. Let's go into the stock market. I always wanted to, but I never got into it just because I always felt and knew that there was corruption in it, especially because of the 2008 financial crisis, something that really has gotten stuck to me. Anyways, so January 24th, 11 p.m., I just saw something on Reddit, people jumping on GameStop. We're going to take down the hedge funds, and that's all it took for me. I didn't need any DD. If it's bringing down, corruption, manipulation, that's what got me into it. So maybe you could call me the tinfoil guy. But so I didn't have that much money yet. So first thing in the morning, I just deposited some money into my account and went all in GameStop, $90. And it just obviously skyrocketed. And I was trying to keep as much as I could up on Twitter. I didn't know who to follow. I was just hashtagging GME and I was seeing everybody get crazy. And I saw my obviously account go from $90 a share to 480 some and start going down. And I didn't sell and I still haven't sold and I'm still here. And as long as I see people here, regardless of DD, I don't care. People are going to say, oh, I'm selling and all that stuff. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is just making a difference. And that's the message that I sometimes try to push. But I know some people have different opinions, but I think we're all here because of one purpose, whether it's money or bringing down the hedges, as they say. I think the message should be clear and we just want a fair market. And that's what I'm here for. So that's what got me into GME, just coming together and bringing down the hedges and having a fair market for everybody.
Oh, that's so good. I love hearing that. I love hearing that. And hey, we're all holding. We all have it. And then, this is when I say, but if you do need to, if you're about to lose your house, if you're about to lose electricity, you need food, guys, do what you need to do. Take care of yourself. At least hold one or two if you can. Just take care of yourself. Make sure you're able to still, live.
No, of course.
Yeah.
And I had a good run because all the stocks were basically down that I jumped into. And when you gamble a lot in the casino, you're used to losing money. So that's something that helped me out a lot. Like that's what helped me out. Seeing the losses was like nothing to me. I'm just like, all right. So I guess I was already diamond handing without even knowing.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Antimatter, what's going on? And we have a lady in the house. She is back, ladies and gentlemen. She is back. Antimatter, what do you got for me?
Hey, Kanan. Hi, everyone. I was a little hesitant at first to kind of share my story, but I think it might give a different lens for anyone else that's listening. Maybe you find yourself in a similar boat, or, maybe you have a similar story. But, I will put this out there. I am a Redditor at heart. And I'm a degenerate. Excuse the language, but from the Wall Street bets days. Yeah, I originally got into not just GameStop, but when I first really started getting into the market. Granted, I had been investing in my 401k through my employer, for the past 9 years, but I had never really been doing any active trading until 2020, with the pandemic, and really trying to make a little bit of money on the side. And that's when I, started seeing people's YOLOs on Wall Street bets, and seeing some people really be on the wrong side of a bet, but also seeing a lot of people, granted there might be some selection bias there, but seeing a lot of YOLOs where people are turning a little bit of money into a lot. Like, one guy, $500 on an option for Tesla into $1 million. Um, so that's kind of what initially got me wanting to, try my hand at a get rich quick scheme. And like someone earlier alluded to, that's when I came across DFV's posts where, someone is getting ridiculed, but he's been holding through on this one stock for quite some time. And, when I started reading into GameStop and specifically DFV's plays, he was already his portfolio and his holdings in GME were already in the millions. So, I thought to myself, maybe the ship hasn't sailed. Maybe there's still time to get in on this. So, I got into GME in early January. I think it was like around January 10th ish. So before it had really skyrocketed. But, my going in was get rich quick. This was a play, it was a gamble. That hopefully I will. This would be my one lucky play that will be my one win. And then shortly thereafter it started blowing up. It started skyrocketing, and then the trading or the buy button was disabled, and that's kind of what really started me thinking, regret. Maybe I made the wrong choice. Maybe I should have sold. But that's when I think the power of Reddit, and not just any one particular DD, but at the time there was also a lot of different subreddits that were changing, people migrating from one to another. But I think all of the posts that were coming out at the time really clued me into something's not normal here, something's not right. And that's when I really, I'd say, started looking at the fundamentals of GameStop. And I read that letter that Ryan Cohen sent to the board at the time, in 2020. And what really got me looking at GameStop from not a get rich quick scheme or get rich quick play anymore, but more, it got me realizing that there's an opportunity here, an opportunity where, maybe I'm down on my portfolio, or at least on the amount that I had at one point in time. It's emotionally nerve wracking when you see your portfolio substantially drop in price when you've never really had that much money before in your account. Um, but it got me really to start looking at maybe there's something else here. Things are not normal, and it's what really got me. I'd say Ryan Cohen's letter to the board really opened my eyes to the potential that's here, and ultimately it's up to GameStop to make that opportunity to realize that potential. But I because of all of that, I now see this as a long-term plan to actually have put most of my 401k in GameStops. I'm that convinced that they will be successful in this transformation.
Thanks for sharing that. That is so good. I guess the thing that's really interesting is that people jumped in without even knowing the DD. Like they saw something happening, and which I'm very proud to hear. They saw something happening and then kind of went and looked into it, which, sometimes works out in people's favor. But the fact that everyone went and read, like, okay, something else is weird happening. Like it's not just a fluke. It's not something just, you know, a couple debacles here and there. It was, okay, this isn't right. What are they hiding? Guys, I love hearing this. This has been epic. Lady, what do you got for us? Welcome back to the world.
My hello, friend. Nothing. My brain is officially fried for the day, so I am going to continue listening and add more frying to the brain.
Fair enough. Fair enough. They like to do that, don't they?
They do.
Okay, I'm gonna screw this up. Is it Paravant?
Yeah, that's me.
Yes, I
What's
said it right.
up?
Hey, y'all. How's it going?
It's good. How are you?
I'm good. The reason why I got into GME is because fuck Ken Griffin. Fuck that, who is it? Thomas Petterfleet? He was the billionaire who was crying. And that's what really tipped me off. I am crypto adjacent. That I started investing through like a Robinhood knockoff in like 2017 after years of being like, oh, I should really start a brokerage account. And I was invested in Tesla. Like I just is really casual, like just buying random stuff and not reading any DD or anything. Actually, I'm kind of it kind of boggles my mind that I did all that with my money. But anyways, I am like Annie Matter. I am a Redditor at heart. And I saw DFE on that day, that delightful day in January. I thought, oh, fuck it. Put like $40 in my fractional share for GME, and then saw AMC was like so much cheaper. Also, I have some Nokia, just randomly. So yeah, when like kind of like you were saying, when they started crying, when it started feeling like this isn't right, because we've seen this play out so many times before in our wonderful financial system. Like, we can smell fuckery. We have been raised on fuckery. And so, fuck them. I am so grateful I've met y'all. You guys all are awesome and freaking wonderful people.
You're freaking awesome.
So, y'all have a great night. I'm gonna step off and listen some more. And I just want to say thanks for sharing your stories. It's really cool to get to know you guys and hear just all the random threads that ended up bringing us together in this beautiful tapestry of financial freedom and anti-fuckery. Love y'all.
Love you. No, thanks for coming up and sharing. That's awesome. I love your energy too. That's so fucking amazing. Anyway, sorry, I'm over here just giggling because that was great. Go Harg, what's going on?
Oh, not a whole lot. I just kind of I wanted to share my story about how I got in and everything. It was probably it was late 2020, and I've been a Redditor for a long time, and I would go through and I was subscribed to a lot of poker subreddits, and every once in a while, like the whole Wall Street bets, it'd be like, hey, here's a suggestion for you. And I'd imagine it's because of the win-loss porn that kind of goes on. That was like one of the only real threads that I could really see connected the two. Because you'd have that same like, oh, here's how you turn $2,000 into $5, and it'd be a guy at the poker table, with his last red, hanging on for dear life, kind of thing. And I mean, honestly, I started off just like most people are now, like, what in the hell are these idiots up to? Because every once in a while throughout my feed, I'd see GameStop, like GameStop update, this, that, and the other. And so eventually I started kind of casually following it, and eventually I got in, and it wasn't even any of the actual DD or anything like that that kind of enthralled me. It was all these guys just talking shit to each other, well, guys and girls. Like, it didn't matter if you won, lost, or broke even. You were on that forum to talk shit and have a good time and to raise spirits. And that's what really drew me into it in the first place. And I'd followed along, and I forget, there was some video on there that I ended up watching that really broke down the whole short entry, or the whole naked shorts and all of that kind of stuff. And then like something in my head just clicked, and I'm like, oh, holy shit! Like, I've got to get in on this. And so I was running. I've never had a brokerage account. I've never invested in stocks or anything like that. And I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off trying to get this stuff set up. And I end up getting 7 shares for like $78 or something like that. Right, this was while it was on its way up before the button had gotten disabled. And I'm like, well, shit. I guess I'm gonna have to settle for $70,000. That's all I'm gonna be able to get. Like, woe is me. And then, like, once they hit with the restrictions, like, that's when I started. Like, that's when something kind of clicked in my head. Like, the week after that, to where I was like, they wouldn't risk doing something so egregious and something so out of character unless there weren't massive, massive stakes going on behind what is actually happening. And I mean, I have a post. It's like over 150 days old, where I'm like, I don't think that we're just holding shares anymore. I think this is actually evidence. Like, this is actually proof that as long as we hold on to this, we can objectively show that there has been a wide amount of fuckery that's been going on for so long. And like, that's what really fueled my fire. Like, like when it dropped to 40, I was doing everything I could to get money. I had my snowblower in the back of my car, driving around town, like, just pointing at yard. I'm like, hey man, you need it, like. And I like, the more and more that I was tried that people tried to dissuade me of it, and the longer and longer that it went on, the more my convictions continued to just strengthen, because it's all those signs of uh, someone not wanting to know, someone not wanting you to know what they're up to. And I could just tell that they were doing every single possible thing that they could to obfuscate, to distract, and to do all these little things. And like, it got to a point where I'm just like, I am in this, like, for the fact that there is so much pushback, because there wouldn't be this much pushback if something wasn't seriously going on here. And I mean, just being able to, like, I really do truly trust and believe in Ryan Cohen, just because like he's done absolutely everything that I think someone upstanding would do every single step of the way. And it's something that, and like, even that set off the alarms in my head, because I'm like, oh, you're trusting someone on Wall Street, you imbecile. So, but the more D I did, the more I kept searching, the more I looked into what he did with Chewy and how he went about changing all of that, it just, and again, it continued to reaffirm my belief that I was on the right path and I'm in the right place where I need to be.
Yeah, that's
so
amazing.
phenomenal.
That was beautiful.
And I mean, I'll tell you, like, don't ever sell yourself short as a poker player. I mean, poker players are extremely smart people. It's kind of amazing, like the correlation between poker players and the stock market. I mean, you said that that's kind of what attracted you to Wall Street Bets, but I mean, I used to do that, back in the day. Poker Stars, like when it was legal in the States and all that kind of stuff. I remember that Black Friday. What was it, like probably 12 plus years ago now, but I mean, a lot of those basic
And I mean, it's
concepts, like
also
it
it's just so fun to
extends.
hear like what people have done just to be able to buy into GameStop and just the conviction in it, right? And so, okay, so I will share my story. It's sad, but it's funny at the same time.
Real quick, I'm sorry. I just want to say we hold royal flushes, and our opponents refuse to show their hand. What do you think?
100%. 100%. They're holding like a bunch of like twos. They just keep kind of.
I'd say it's more like we've got ace ace and they've got king king, and the flop came out ace ace king, and 9 times out of 10 they'd have us. We'd be dead to rights. But now that, but we know that they know that we know what they have, and they're trying to shove us off our position when there is no way. Like, it's impossible for them. It's impossible for us to lose if we don't fold.
There you go. Nuts to second nuts. All right, go ahead, Kenna.
All right, so here's our funny story. So, as you guys know, we've been in the market, between Forex and regular stock market and in crypto for 10 years, right? And my husband was ready to kind of just call it quits for a little bit, stop trading so he could stop looking at it and everything. He had the bigger portfolio. Like he day trades penny stocks, and that's what he was doing, build up his portfolio. And he was like, I just need to really focus on other things. He's like, I don't want to keep looking at this. And this was back in like October of last year. And he was about to, he knew GameStop, but GameStop had been trading very low, $2 to $4. He's like, it's a safe bet. Throw it in there, let it just kind of sit there until I'm ready to get back into it. Needless to say, he did not do this. He decided to keep trading it. He built up to be able to buy like Spirit Airline and everything. Like he built his portfolio up very well to where it had like some major big stocks in it. And then it was January 23rd, 24th. Oh no, 22nd. Sorry, it was that Friday before. We started reading about like different things going on with GameStop. He was like, wait, GameStop's moving. Like, what is going on with GameStop? And we don't jump into things without knowing what's going on, because it could be pump and dumps and everything, things that we've seen over the years. And so we really didn't know what was going on with GameStop. And so throughout the weekend, we were just, I think I had been on Reddit probably 30 hours out of the 2 days, just trying to read. And that's when I started finding like AMC and Nokia and BlackBerry. And I was like, what the heck is going on? And so we watched it on Monday, and we ended up buying in on the way down. So that's a weird thing, is that usually if you see something peak and go down, usually you don't buy in, right? Like that's not normal. But we had read so much about it. I was like, this isn't done. Like there's some weird things going on. And so like we ended up with like a $100 average at first, and we got it down to like $50 because it kept going down and kept going down. And so, and like we just kept holding. We held through, all the other big dip rises and dips and everything. But yeah, so we could have had a substantial amount back in October, but because we had, he just out of that fluke was like, no, I'm just gonna keep doing it. But yeah, we ended up flipping a lot of our Doge, and yes, we flipped Doge. We had a lot of Doge, which bought a lot of our position that we're in right now, along with the rest of our portfolios, except for some stocks that we cannot get out of. Like that would be stupid for us to get out of right now. But yeah, that is, I've read and read and read, and I took a lot of what everyone in the GameStop community. I figured, you guys were going so nuts with all the DD and like finding all these different trends and whatnot, and I was able to actually almost mimic it for the AMC community. And I know that this is not AMC, but it was a very interesting similarity, and that's when I started getting into the ETFs and finding all the ETFs that they were in, and just the connections, the infinite loops of money, how they were doing this, and it was just absolutely crazy. And so you can almost figure, if there was only like a few hundred, a few thousand people that were convicted in it, that's one thing. But when you have like millions of people going, this is something, and they start shutting Reddits down, they start shutting Discords down, they start silencing people on different social medias and different things like that, and you have to end up having to bring in committees to go over legalities of what's going on, you're on something. So, no, guys, it's been definitely incredible to hear. So yeah, if anyone else in the audience, we have Sharkbait in here. I am so happy to see you. And Brent, I know you're recovering, so you are not pressured. Midas, if you want to come up, anybody out in the audience, if you guys do want to come up and kind of give your story or need some kind of great DD that you really have loved, feel free to come share it.
Sharkbait just requested. Dun, dun, dun.
Sharkbait.
I know. I'm so excited to hear
Hello,
the
hello, hello,
calming
hello.
voice.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes. Hi, Sharkbait.
Yes. How are you, stranger?
I'm doing really well. How are you guys doing?
Oh, so
I
good.
live.
Amazing.
Brent, first of all, Brent, I hope you are slowly starting to feel better. I'm so sorry that you're having to go through this. I saw your video. It's brutal.
Sorry, I was still connecting. I didn't catch.
I'm just saying. I'm sorry to hear that you're absolutely sick. That sucks.
Oh, well, I could be dead, but
yeah,
I'm
I mean,
not.
that is definitely the alternative there. So you've got the better half of it for sure.
Thank you for your thoughts, though.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, otherwise, we're chilling, and I feel like there's a lot to look forward to. I had just dropped a DD this week on Superstonk called the GME Warpath. So if you haven't read that, I would highly encourage a read because I feel like it gives everybody an additional reason to hold. And I mean, like the future of NFTs and what GameStop is developing and the entire team that they've put together is really incredible, honestly. I also see Stonk Sandwich in here with us, and so he knows. Like our Super Stonk mod group has been digging deep into the NFT world, trying to figure out exactly how it works, trying to get a little bit ready for it. And we feel like it's pretty soon. Like it's of course speculative of what's exactly going to happen, but we suspect that there's going to be a pretty big play here, and we're going to be involved in all this pretty soon. So, fingers crossed.
Do you care to dive into it just a teensy bit, or no?
I can, yeah. So initially, and maybe kind of like, part of the BullHouse back when we were still rolling with our larger group, I think we might have started already talking about it, which was to do with Matt Feinstone, who is the head of blockchain at GameStop. And so I started digging a lot more into his history and his background, and specifically one of his past employers called Loopring. So Loopring, in a very roundabout way of explaining it, I'm probably going to butcher it as well, is basically like a marketplace for Ethereum as a backend. So essentially, what they're going to try to do, and the way I've interpreted it by reading the amount of information that they've been publishing it, is that they're going to try to create a competitor to potentially something like OpenSea, which is where a lot of people trade and barter and sell and do everything else, their NFT assets currently. There's a lot of problems that come with OpenSea, however, is that the user interface is quite clunky. It's got high costs associated with it. It's just in general not a good experience. And to my understanding, the infrastructure that it runs on is actually quite bad too. Like there's a lot of people who complain about it. If you've ever looked up Fubar on Twitter, so for anybody who's not familiar with who Fubar is one of the first NFT collections that was ever released in general, period. And so what we had heard was that Fubar was actually brought on as a contractor or something of the sort for GameStop. So he's kind of a really important person to be paying attention to, I feel. But we had seen a couple of tweets from Fubar about a week ago that was basically talking shit about the infrastructure of OpenSea. And so, yeah, like, you start piecing a lot of things together and you're like, this could be kind of big. Another major restriction right now of NFTs, and Stonk, I'm sure you can agree with this, and as anybody else here who's traded NFTs before, something I've quickly figured out is that there's something called gas costs when you're trading NFTs. And let me tell you, these suck. Like, this is kind of like a tax almost, as if. But yet again, kind of another like really maybe shitty explanation of this is basically these gas costs are the costs that it takes for your transaction to be processed by a cluster of computers, right? And so essentially by paying out this gas cost, it can cost you like 0.02 ether, for example. And that could be something like 40, $50, which I mean is not cheap, right? Like that's an expensive tax rate to be paying for like even the smallest transaction. So there's very often situations where like the NFT that you're buying, like the piece of artwork that you're buying, is like 0.1 ether or like 0.2 ether. And then your gas cost is another like 0.2 or 0.3, right? And so it's like almost like double the cost. It's like the cost of the actual artwork itself. And so what we believe might be happening here with the most recent advancements, and so we bring Loopring back into the conversation, which, as I was saying before, was Matt Feinstein's previous employer, is that they are implementing something called Layer 2. And this Layer 2 tech is very interesting and basically creates an infrastructure where it can be almost like 100% free of these gas costs. So that if you were to buy like a $3 NFT, it's going to be $3. There's almost like none of these gas fees associated on top of that. You're not going to have to pay like another $40 on top of that. And so the implication of that is potentially going to be massive, right? You're going to have a lot of these products that can be sold, a lot of these NFTs that can be sold as like very, very low costs. And so it's as crazy as your mind can go, right? Like it's like they can create like a game and like have it be like, oh, a $3 hat that you can buy on their marketplace. Or as big as like, hey, I want to resell a DRM free game on this marketplace. Kind of similar thinking to what we had before, but it's now a little bit more solidified, which is what makes me excited for it.
Okay, yeah, now I got all my night reading set out for me. Thanks, Sharkbait. No, that's awesome. So we were onto something then way back when.
I think so, yeah. And it seems to me like that's kind of like what this is all pushing for. It's not necessarily just for an NFT collection. I think it's for a marketplace. And it makes more sense that way too.
Does this tie into a Brent Schultz theory by any chance?
We started crossing paths here quite a fair bit, yeah. And I mean, like, when you really start thinking about the future of it, I don't know if it's going to be Nintendo. That's where we might start to disagree a little bit. I think it's actually going to be something closer to Microsoft. It could be both. Could be all the developers. I'm not sure, right? It could be. But the way that I see it is that they want to do a marketplace. And my God, if they pull it off, how massive that would be. Like that would be the end game. Like that is the end game. And they would fund all of it with the MOAs. Like we would 100% put a whole bunch of cash into this marketplace, and it would be fully funded, right? And the crazy part is, and Fubar made a tweet about this the other week as well too, where he was saying, who would have thought that a trading card game would be a Trojan horse for a new financial system? And when you really think about that, it's like it's not just a marketplace for like these NFT assets, but it could be potentially be a marketplace for like, over the counter stocks, for example. And ironically enough, you look at OTC top traded assets and it's Ethereum, right? And so, yeah, I don't know, like, a lot of things are starting to align really nicely for us. Stars are starting to align, and so once again, we've got so many things to be excited for, and the MOS isn't even the only thing. So, I genuinely believe GameStop is a good investment, and they're headed for a very bright future, regardless of the MOS. And so, we don't need to try to convince other people by all this like research of like this financial corruption, but like actual genuine fundamentals, and that's a good feeling for sure.
Oh, for sure. And that's exactly it. Like, I mean, the fundamental play alone of GameStop is ridiculous. Like it's literally like the comeback kid. I love it. I absolutely love it. Brent, you were gonna say something.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to speak slow. I got COVID, so you'll have to forgive me. So, I have been doing NFT, Pokemon, augmented reality glasses, Niantic, like play spaces. I mean, I've been doing research since May and posting it on Superstonk and places wherever I could. Sometimes it get nuked for whatever reason, but I kept on and repost or whatever. But so I am confident it's going to be a. I mean, so think branding. Think the Pokemon cards recently, the Sandaconda with the black GameStop. Now there's this new Pokemon card that came out. Now it's got red GameStop on. I can't remember the name of the creature, but
So my girlfriend just asked me why my phone just went silent, and I figured I'd go ahead and unmute my mic and chime in a little bit. First of all, I wanted to thank
Oh, hold on.
every
Hey,
single one of you
Stonk.
guys that jumped in and shared your experience with GameStop and your investment.
Hey, Stonk.
At the end of the day, this is the stock market. We are here to invest, but it is so freaking awesome to hear everyone's passion and their story behind this investment. I mean, that differentiates us from absolutely everything else that has ever occurred in the stock market, and that makes that no longer just a financial investment, but an investment in our future, our vision, and what we want to create. It's freaking amazing. I mean, I never had Twitter. I was a lurker on Reddit, never had an account, never did anything, and it is so amazing. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but I don't think you can hear most of us. I sent him a message. So Brent, you can continue. Stonk. I sent him a message. I don't think he can hear us. I told him to rejoin.
it's okay. Stonk sandwich. I love you, brother. I lost my flow. I'm sorry. You threw off the
It's
Emperor's
okay.
groove.
You just
You were
continue.
talking about augmented reality glasses,
Yeah.
Pokemon,
So
and how you've been doing research since May.
yeah. So there's so much, and you have to link it all together, and that's when it starts making sense. Because when I talk too little about one thing, it just seems like a coincidence. But when you start linking these coincidences together, there's so many that it's not just a coincidence anymore. And for those that aren't familiar with me, please follow my YouTube. I've been tracking and sharing it on YouTube, and you can go to my Reddit page and follow my post history. That's seriously the best way I can get you up to speed. But basically, Nintendo has been working on Pokemon NFTs for a couple years, if not longer. They have been uh, getting it down to a science. I mean, if you look at Axiom creatures or Ethermon, these knockoff Pokemon games, if you look at, there's a card game called Gods Unchained. I think they made like $8 billion just in 2019 because of all the transactions and trades. Because they get a cut. The company gets a cut every time the players trade cards, and so that's how they maintain revenue. And the more expensive or rare, whatever the card, the bigger cut they get. It's a huge money-making machine. And then you look at the pay-to-play games. There's one called Lost Relics, and it's basically Diablo. And then if you find like a sword, but you're a mage and you don't want to use it, you can sell it on the marketplace. Like, wow.
But Brent, sorry to interrupt you. Are you at the moment dreaming, or what are you talking about?
I'm talking about
potential things.
Yeah. So
yeah, but at the moment it's maybe sometimes reality is not too bad to talk about, isn't it?
Oh, okay, that's what I'm trying to get to. So you can sell these items on marketplace for real money. Now maybe someone only wants to pay $1, but it's still a real world transaction. So you could be a dungeon crawler and sell items and make money. Ready Player One style, collecting coins in the game world, and you can use it in the real world to buy the bodysuit or whatever. So going forward, Nintendo wants this action. They want in on this NFT world. They're going to do it with Pokemon NFTs. Not only are they going to make it trading cards, they're going to make it like an RPG, like the video games, like the Shining Pearl. So you have Pokemon, different Pokemon, over 600. They can all level up differently. You can level up their strength different or their speed different. Every Squirtle is not the exact carbon copy same. They're all different. You can equip different moves, different skills. You can evolve them differently. Evolving them with different skills evolves them into a different thing. So apply that to NFTs. You have an ever-evolving card game, ever-evolving revenue.
Sorry to interrupt again.
Please let me finish. Let me finish. It's hard for me to talk, so I don't want to be interrupted. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude. So you now apply this to Niantic, that Nintendo Pokemon Company owns, with their glasses. They've been working on glasses for 4+ years. These will be sold exclusively through GameStop. The Pokemon NFTs will be sold exclusively through GameStop. Nobody sells Pokemon cards. Walmart and Target have banned Pokemon cards. Sorry about my son in the background. He just got a little boo-boo. Hold on. Oh, thanks, sweetie.
No worries. Never apologize for it.
So you have these glasses that are augmented reality. And if you just Google augmented reality games, just get a glimpse. If you look at Snap spectacles, that is the future. That is going to be the future of gaming. And it's going to be little Pokemon running around. You're going to see them running around like in a virtual RPG. You're going to be able to tell them to attack. You're going to be able to tell them to cast their spells. You can connect via the new 5G, find people across the world to battle with. And then we know that GameStop has renewed a filing. Ryan Cohen does not waste money. He never wastes money. Everyone tries to say, oh, this filing was just renewed automatically. He probably had no idea it was even done. No. Ryan Cohen has a plan. He knows everything. He doesn't just let something slip by. He had his eye on this prior executive board like a hawk. He was pissed at them for sucking. He yelled about their finances, and he knows what this is. He renewed it for a reason. And in the filings that the guy named Patrick Koch found, and I retweeted this, there are plans for GameStop game rooms, giant virtual rooms, where you see that there are physical people there, and then there are holographic people there. And my idea is that they're going to create multiple gaming rooms all over the world, or the United States at least, in Europe, that all are exactly the same, so that people can put on their goggles and teleport themselves to these gaming areas. Or you can at least go to these gaming areas, and then you can interact with everyone equally. Well, and it's not
Brent,
just going to be Pokemon, but it's going to be could be their inventory. Because if you Google augmented reality clothes, you can put on glasses and wear clothes, try on shoes. So these glasses cannot be just for gaming. They might have in-store versions for customers to try on clothes and things like that, or to do it from their home. So to culminate everything, Nintendo is doing something huge with GameStop. I
Brent,
believe it's going to be an acquisition or merger with Pokemon Company via GameStop to allow them to have a retail space. They want retail. Why try to fight GameStop to get retail when you can just get the retail? You just own what's already there. Why reinvent the wheel? You get that space in America that you want, and then you sell the glasses, you sell the game, you help sell the merchandise.
Brent,
So
excuse me. I'm sorry to interrupt you again. You're just talking about a world what you would like to see.
I mean, it's also a possibility. I mean, we can't rule anything out. I mean,
Definitely, definitely. But
no, you
that's
haven't.
something like
You got to look. I
That's
have
so
all the
disingenuous.
documents.
Like
I
it's so
have the.
disingenuous.
Huh?
No. The guy Fosca who just like replied to you. It's actually like super disingenuous. Like like if we don't believe in something, it can't become true. Like if it's the best case scenario, like saying that that's what we want, so we expect it to become true, is like such a huge mistake. Like they're telling you that you can never expect the best circumstance to come out, right?
no. You think so, Charlie? I think it's good to dream, but it's not something.
Dream is demeaning, because what we believe that GameStop could do isn't dreaming. You
We know
even
it.
saying that it's
Yes,
dreaming makes it possible. Dreaming
we
is
know
like
it.
a
Yes.
loaded ass word.
I have done the research. There are articles. I have found manifests of game consoles that have come out of China. I have, if I have information and things to back up what I'm talking about. It's not fantasy land. And I share it. I share it all freely on my YouTube. I provide links to everything. And I encourage you all to go and do your own research. Don't just take my word. If you've never heard this before, go look. I share it. I give it freely. You're all welcome to it. And I'm telling you, it sounds far-fetched, but it's coming, and it's going to be the big revolution, Tamagotchi 2.0 of our generation.
Anybody who says anything whether than against what Brent just said has never like played like a competitive game and not had friends to play it, and we would like to have friends to play it in like a local setting. We want that. Absolutely. Every Friday, like Friday Night Magic has existed for 25 plus years. We want that same thing, but we want it for PUBG. We want it for League of Legends. You know what I mean? Like it's the same thing.
Charlie, that is a big approach for a company to come on.
That
But at
doesn't
the
make it
moment,
wrong. Amazon had a very, very big approach.
doesn't work when the people don't go for it.
That's not true, because in America especially, I'm not sure how it works in other countries, but the gaming community in general in America has constantly, for the last 20 years, watched every single gaming like hotspot pop up and play Magic the Gathering for 3 or 4 years, and then that mom and pop store goes bankrupt.
You misunderstood me maybe. I'm pretty sure there's the biggest market to go for it. It's the biggest market.
And that's
I
what
don't
Brent's
know
saying too.
what Amazon did in the US. I don't know what
So
Amazon approached
I
the
provide
US.
evidence, and all you can say is nuh-uh. So what
So
is your
I
counter
actually
argument?
I'll actually step in with this one. So Amazon, it's funny that you would even use Amazon because Amazon started as a book company. Like they only sold books.
Yeah, it's really easy.
And so,
It's not like the best example, but it's like
but no, I mean it's so Amazon, we're talking about far reach or anything. Amazon started with just books, selling that was it, and now they ship globally everything, right? Like you can buy almost everything on Amazon. So it's not too far fetched for any company to want to take all this money that we're allowing them to have and reinventing themselves. I think it's beautiful what they're wanting to do and what they could do because I mean there's a market for it.
Can I real quick before people jump in real quick? No, you guys, let me just jump in. So far I've been watching the chat and I know that Sharkbait has something to say. I know that Conway's been waiting patiently to say something. So why don't we start with Sharkbait and then we'll go ahead and jump to Conway. How does that sound?
Please, the Sharkbait's pretty great. I've been following it.
All right, Brent, here I come. Okay, so I'm going to back you up a little bit on this too, because I followed down a similar rabbit hole as you did, just from a different angle. So in the last section of my DD that I just wrote, it's called Brick by Brick. And it kind of goes a little bit deeper into the way I saw this. And so it actually follows a similar outcome, which is that the natural progression. So if anybody has played around with the newest iPhone 12 Pro Maxes, or the newest iPads for that matter, you'll know that it comes with a LiDAR scanner. So if anybody's not familiar with LiDAR scanners, essentially is like this little sensor that shoots a whole bunch of lasers and reflects off of an object. And you can actually create a 3D object out of this that you can put up into something like Blender, you can view it, or you can even place it in the real world.
Or like a Magic the Gathering
like anywhere
card.
on your phone. Sorry?
I think he said, or like the Magic the Gathering card.
I did.
I don't quite understand. What's the reference?
Because it like ties into what I just said about like mom and pop, like Friday Night Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon stores surviving only for a couple of years.
Arcades.
You could also scan your specific deck or your specific card set, and you could then trade them like verifiably to other people, as opposed to like stuff like Card Kingdom, where you don't know exactly that you're specifically getting anything.
Kind of like, so like with LiDAR specifically, like I kind of want to make that a little bit more clear. Is that like a 3D object in the real world, right? So like if you see a tree, for example, or like a statue or something, you can take a LiDAR scan of it and you can render that out. It becomes a 3D object, right? Like an actual like asset. And that 3D object you can put up on like a website, you can like literally send to somebody else. They can like then pop into the real world themselves. You can go to like an IKEA, for example. You can scan like a couch and be like, all right, I'm going to scan this and I'm going to take it home. I'm going to place it and it's going to put it into like as much of an accurate position and size in relation to the real world using augmented reality, right? So we bring up AR. Once again, augmented reality becomes a reoccurring trend here. And the way I had thought about this with GameStop specifically is in relation to their current partnership with Microsoft. Because similar to what Brent was saying, how he suspects that this is happening from a Nintendo standpoint with Pokemon, I suspect actually this is probably true. I do think Nintendo's actually pursuing this space as well. But it's also in potentially happening as a means to compete with Microsoft. Because Microsoft is very far ahead in this space with their HoloLens. They've already released their HoloLens 2. And so for anybody who's not familiar, I highly urge you to YouTube the Microsoft HoloLens 2
and see what
There's
that
Magic
is.
Leap and
Because
the Snap Spectacles too. They're advanced. They're great.
100%. Pokemon Go has already been
Exactly.
doing that with like people's locations, and what's the it's like GeoGo or
Yes, yeah, these are AR based games, but like what me and Brent are getting at with this specifically is that the HoloLens and the thing that is Brent was bringing up in regards to these glasses that these Nintendo are developing is that this is something that is going to overlay AR over your site, not necessarily be something on your phone. This is a very big difference, right? And so all of a sudden now, guys, you're gonna have to use your imagination here a little bit. Is that this now starts to really neatly bring in NFTs, because assume that you have like a VR or AR based avatar as well, right? And so all of a sudden you want to put clothes on this person, you want to have accessories or whatever, or you want to play games and you want to get different items in those games. And I think this is what Brent was getting at, right? Is that all of it follows in line. And the crazy part is that when we then think about this NFT marketplace that GameStop is potentially developing, it creates a host to have all this take place, right? Like to be able to transact all these NFTs for like no gas costs. And on top of that, they'll be making their own 2.5% fees or rates on each transaction that takes place without them having to actually handle physical
Revenue,
product,
constant revenue.
which is
Yes.
what if they're choosing to handle physical product in games
They
like
can. They want to win
League of
e-com.
I'm going to agree with you, Sharkbait. In games like League of Legends, where you want to handle physical scans of what your account does, right? So stuff like League of Legends skins, you could scan them and your account could have more than one account, but you could transfer the skins because you like Fortnite or League of Legends, you could transfer the skin from one account to the other and it's verified through the same scan. And you could only do that with NFTs, right?
Yeah, I think it's even crazier than that a little bit. I think that when you think about really, it means that that skin that you have it starts to appreciate in value, right? So this is something, if you hang out with enough NFT groups, which is something that Stunk was able to introduce me with this project that we're both involved in here, is that they keep going on and on about how the less supply there is, so there will be like a certain drop, like they'll release so let's say it's like Fortnite, right? They'll release a certain skin and they'll only release 10,000 of them. And over time, and this is something that's already happening in Fortnite, keep in mind, right? Is that over time, that skin becomes more and more rare because you can no longer get it, right? Simple supply and demand.
Yeah.
There's no more supply and there's a lot of demand.
We already all know as gamers, you already know if you've been playing a game for a long time, you can sell your account for more if you do it on the black market. You could sell your account for more based on your skins that are not available in the same way at the same price, right? That's what.
Yeah, Charles, I shit you not. I've got a buddy who's got a Fortnite account with $8,000 worth of skins on them. That's not a joke. Like he's got hundreds
same
of
thing.
skins.
I bought. It was my buddy's birthday, like 11 years ago, and I bought him a one-of-a-kind icon that was only available for a couple of months. And
can I chime in, guys, real quick? Actually, you guys have
yeah, go for it.
well, no, so you guys are onto something really cool. Have you seen anything with Turbo Sharkbait? Do you know who I'm talking about?
I'm not familiar.
Oh my god, I have so much to tell you. I won't do it for here because this is an NFT thing. But so the thing with having an NFT character, and this is actually what they're doing, they're creating NFT characters that you could put into video games. Like, if you just look up, I'll post one of his tweets up. He's been creating customized NFT interactive characters for some of the apes. So like I think Trey has one, Jamaica has one. Like yeah, I'll post one up, but you'll have to check this out. Like this is probably one of the coolest things I have seen, and this was since we covered NFTs all last week. Like I learned so much.
Is it an NFT game specifically?
No, it's not a game yet. Like it's just like a little interactive character that you can actually like move around
Think
and
of
everything. Like
Barbies, how popular they are.
Yeah. There's a lot of these kinds of projects coming out, right? And I make reference to this in my DD as well because I found a couple of other projects that are like same thing. You have a character or you have items or whatever. Like one of these games is called Evaverse. Same concept, right? It's just like you have a character you buy NFTs for, and you get like a board that has like special stats for through an NFT, like stuff like that. But the last thing that I did want to say here, and this is just in regards to what I believe might be happening in terms of like, partnerships, is that I'm personally coming up to this from a Microsoft standpoint, and more importantly, somehow blending in Minecraft through that partnership. Is that I don't think that they're going to try to implement their own kind of metaverse game. That they would probably hijack something that already has a lot of success. And it seems to me probable that Microsoft might be an easy way to Trojan horse infrastructure like that in. I could be wrong, but
so yeah, I posted one of his.
it could be
I
both.
posted.
Listen, it
So,
could be both.
you guys, I just wanted to make sure that we give Conway a chance to.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. I just see his little hand. It reminds me. It's giving me flashbacks of Zoom call. Conway, are you
But yeah.
there? Are you even there? Hey, student.
Oh, I was watching this video of this monkey, and
Yeah,
no,
so that's
I've
Turbo's
forgotten what I
project.
was gonna say, but I just wanted to say I have multiple friends that all have multiple thousands of dollars worth of skins in just League of Legends alone. So the demand for this is real.
And then Kenna, we do have a couple more people requesting to speak, and so if you haven't spoken in a while, do you guys mind dropping down, just so we can make room for a couple more people who would like to speak?
Yeah, that's fine. I can step down.
I'll be dropping as well. And I just wanted to thank everybody for your time. Once again, Brent, hope you get better soon and get back to researching. And I'll see everybody on Silversong.
All right. Bye, Sharkbait. Thanks for
The
coming
same
in.
here. Get better, Brent.
I got added
Oh,
quickly, so I'll drop off now too, just so other people get a word in.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys coming up.
I remember a little bit of what I wanted. I could just finish.
Yes, Conway, go.
I mean, Fosca is left by now, so unfortunately he's not going to hear this part. But the technology's there, and
He's still here, Conway. He's still here.
Okay. We're like, how do I even say this? We're on like the precipice of like a sea change in technology. This is a new paradigm that we're entering into. You know, the capabilities that decentralized cryptocurrencies and NFTs offers us is orders of magnitudes beyond what we can think of today, right? Like, I mean, strictly speaking, yes, the things Brent is talking about is quote unquote imaginary because we haven't confirmed a real product yet. But that's not giving Brent enough credit for all of the research that he's done and the fact that there's some mystery device sitting in GameStop's headquarters right now, and we don't know what it is, but according to Brent's thorough research, is probably what Brent has been talking about. You know, and like the technology is there. Everybody here probably remembers how crazy people went over Pokemon Go when that first came out. Imagine that.
Nintendo, the original Nintendo Entertainment Center in 1985. People went nuts.
Yep. And imagine that in an augmented reality situation. Like, that is insane. Now, even if this mystery product sitting at GameStop's headquarters right now isn't these augmented reality glasses, the technology is there. I'm excited about the idea. I'm sure eventually somebody will come up with this idea, and I do legitimately think that this could take off. This is like augmented reality. It just seems so cool. There are so many possibilities with it, but also just with cryptocurrencies, NFTs, blockchain, smart contracts alone, like there is so much possibility here. It's hard to articulate all the things that would change with it. You know, smart contracts alone would eliminate so many points of friction in day-to-day life. You know, you have to do a lot of work up front to build out these smart contracts, but then once those conditions are met, these things can auto-fulfill in a permissionless peer-to-peer fashion. You know, you won't have to deal with lawyers anymore. You won't have to deal with contracts with fine print, so long as the smart contract was intelligibly put together in the first place. Like this is going to streamline so much stuff, you know, in life in general. And if GameStop is working on the things that Radio to Saturn has been talking about, this is a distinctly real possibility that you do need to take seriously. And you cannot, with a straight face, say that this is imaginary. This is happening.
I going to step in real quick and to maybe support a little bit from Fosco's position, and maybe it's just a I don't know, mistranslation or something. I don't want to speak for Fosco, but I think the point that is trying to be made here, and I echo it if it's correct, is that I think that there is a fundamental issue within the Reddit or meme stock culture that has existed for several months now, that we just immediately jump to like the end line. We immediately say like the highest level of complexity, the highest level of changes to the status quo, you know, breaking the entire market. We're completely okay speaking about things like MOAS and $40 million flows flippantly, and speaking about things like rebuilding an entire decentralized exchange on an Ethereum mainnet to rival Loopring, all because the head of blockchain is Matthew Feinstein, who, by the way, Matthew Feinstein did not build Loopring, right? He's a marketer. He's not an engineer. And in fact, all of the engineers that we know of that have been added to the GameStop list as of the last time that they provided a listing of the engineers, less than half, so about 3, have any experience with working on blockchains directly. The rest of them are quality engineers, have come from Ford, have come from DJ and trading, like they know the e-commerce and things like that, but engineering blockchain is not something that they necessarily know, or if they do, it's not something that they've ever been employed doing, at least not publicly. I am not. I don't want to like shit on any of the research that anyone has done when it comes to what might happen with Pokemon or GameStop or any of that. And to be, I'm going to take a look at the videos that have been done, because I'm definitely intrigued now, and I want to know more about it, and I want to dig deeper into the research that has been done. And I'm not saying that something like that isn't feasible at some point in the future, but based on the team that has been built, that is being built from GameStop, based on the value, the immediate value that they can get as a company from just leveraging and creating an NFT marketplace internally around, that is geared specifically towards trading only only digital assets related to video games, because they already own that market. They already have a foot in that market. I just think that this is another case where I think that we might be, as we're wont to do within the meme stock culture, it seems, is kind of building things way too far out of proportion without realizing that there's a lot of steps that need to take place before anything like that can happen. Loopring has been around for 4 or 5 years, and is currently a team of almost 100 to do what it does. So the idea that GameStop is going to be dropping some type of massive thing that is going to revolutionize the way NFTs are moved, because an ex-employee of Loopring is now part of their team, I think is jumping to a wild conclusion. And I don't want to use words like dream or imaginary or anything like that, because I agree that those can be definitely misconstrued and have negative connotations attached to them. But I do think that it does make sense from an investment side, from an investor side, to understand the risks that are associated with assuming that things are going to be amazing right now or even in the next 6 months. Like it is much more likely that the initial release of NFT from perspective of GameStop is just a very simplistic NFT that is leveraging smart contracts as a way of encouraging growth of the marketplace that they are also building. The idea of creating NFT drops in order to reduce supply and even like integrating burns, which some NFT drops have already started doing in other parts of the industry. I'm not saying that GameStop won't do those things, but those aren't unique. Those aren't things that are new. Those are things that NFT developers have been and mentors have been doing for years. So I just want to my only 2 cents is that I feel like we have a habit of making these wild assumptions and making these wild statements because we want them. And I agree, like at some level, they would be great for not only GameStop as investors, but GameStop as a company and me as a gamer. It would be great to have those things. But like the reality of the situation is that those things take so much time to build out. And if that is happening, we're not going to see anything about it or hear about it for years. Because that's not a real, like the timeline for those things is not a short span. So I think it's much more likely that the original thing we see is maybe a little bit more complex than a normal NFT that gets minted like CryptoPunks or something like that. That is just a way of gaining additional marketing and branding traction for GameStop while they work on building out a marketplace that allows the movement of these skins from and like a CS:GO type of marketplace like that provides transaction costs and movements, but those won't be as like Ethereum, you're worrying about Ethereum gas. It'll all be within the same marketplace. So it'll all just move across. Everything will just be minted as 721 tokens and everything moves just as NFTs. So gas isn't a part of it unless you're actually selling them for the money and then withdrawing it from the exchange. So it's, I guess, kind of like loop ring in that sense, but loop ring is definitely far more complicated than that. And I don't know. That's it. I'm just going around in circles now, so I don't need to say anything more, but that's just.
Thanks, Jeremiah. Broke as F. I'm not saying your full name. I know you've been patiently waiting. What's going on? Broke.
I guess Baff doesn't need to speak. Let's go ahead and move on to Conway.
Oh, I was just gonna say that Bath has been raising his hand.
Oh, I know. I was waiting for him. Baff, what's going on?
All right, Bath, if you can hear me, just cut me off when you get back. All right. I just wanted to say that, man, I distracted myself. I forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, I can see your point, Jeremiah, but again, I mean, for me, and just for me, just speaking for myself, this is what deep value investing is all about. You know what I mean? Like we're seeing the company transform. We know that they're working hard on these new projects. They're working on something that nobody has ever done before, right? That's from the mouth of Ryan Cohen himself, and we see the writing on the wall. And I agree with it. And so if you take some of the wisdom that famous value investors have shared with everybody else, for me, maybe this is not a good price to get in, maybe not. I don't really care personally. If I see the price go down, I'm going to be thrilled because that means I could afford to buy even more shares. And I'm patient enough to wait this out because I trust Ryan Cohen, but more importantly, I trust the team that he has assembled, right? These are freaking superstars from Amazon, Zulily, Chewy, all over the place, right? For the NFT side, he got Fubar to basically help him handpick some of the most talented people in the crypto space, in the NFT space. Jordan Holberg, exactly. Right?
I'm not denying that the value of the long-term value of GameStop. I do think that they are going to do great things, and I do think that there is a lot of potential value there. I just don't think that this is like a 6-month window type of thing. That's all.
I don't care. I never wanted to sell in the first place.
That's fair.
I mean, in my opinion, as long as I still trust Ryan Cohen, as long as I still trust the company, as long as something hasn't fundamentally changed about the company to make me not trust them anymore and to not trust the direction that they're going in, I'm just going to hold. And if it goes down, I'm going to buy more. That's how I feel about it. Everybody else, do whatever you guys feel
absolutely
is appropriate.
If you guys remember a while ago, GameStop Esports tweeted about. Do you guys remember 80s arcades? You guys remember that?
Absolutely. Yo, actually, GameStop's about to sell this Nintendo arcade cabinet. Dude, I've burned so many quarters as a kid trying to beat this stupid game. I've probably spent enough quarters to buy the freaking thing. So I'm excited that they're coming out with this because I might actually just buy it and finally be able to beat this game.
I just want to say, okay, I'm not sure how many of you grew up in the 80s or 90s. Some of you might be younger. I'm 37. So I'll be 37 in October. So I remember arcades. It was a little bit past my, I was really young when arcades were kind of big, but there's a Netflix documentary called The Video Games That Made Us. And I encourage everybody to watch that because the craze of the arcade fandom in America back in the 80s, that was like malls in general in the 80s. That's where kids after school went. That was the cool place to hang out. And what do we really have in America now? I mean, libraries, I guess. Like where do kids go to hang out these days now? There's no maybe I'm too old and I just don't pay attention because my kids aren't in high school anymore, but where's the social hubs now? Where do kids go and like congregate and hang out and stuff? So I can see GameStop, Jamaica being maybe some part of their entertainment area, the new resurgent of like arcades, but with these entertainment centers focused on AR glasses, getting people coming in together and playing and interacting using the AR glasses. I see it as being the next big thing. I see the tech. NVIDIA has already opened up the Omniverse or the Metaverse, whatever you want to call it. It's in beta right now. They're inviting everybody. If you have glasses or VR goggles, you can join and be a part of their universe. And I think GameStop is going to be working with them on integrating that system. They've already have worked as partnerships in the past. I could see NVIDIA, and I was researching this. I found a side link in the manifest to NVIDIA and GameStop, but I got COVID. I haven't been able to follow up. I think NVIDIA is helping with the tech side of that because they've already done it. GameStop doesn't need to reinvent the wheel. A lot of these companies are helping each other out. They're not gonna. It's all about revenue, and someone's done it first, so they're gonna get the bigger piece of the pie. But GameStop truly is the like centerpiece. It's where these tech companies can bring the tech. So Nvidia brings the Omniverse, Niantic under Nintendo and Atari bring the AR glasses, and then you have Snap with their own little system, but they still need a retail store unless they want to go through Amazon, but we know Amazon are greedy fucks. They take a huge cut. I mean, GameStop is literally poised to be the number one store for everything tech, vinyl, arcade cabinets, AR games, NFTs. So they're
consumer electronics. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I just need to watch your videos because the part that I'm struggling at is I don't understand where the linking, like personally me, I don't understand the linking between GameStop and all of those are. Like I believe you that Nvidia is doing great things. Nintendo wants to get into the retail space, and that it will, if the future of GameStop is to have like that hangout spot for kids, that it does make sense for them to have those things in their spaces. The part that I just don't I think I can't really link to is the idea that GameStop would sign any direct like ownership or mergers or anything like that where that overlap would exist, where it makes more sense for them to do that as opposed to them do their thing and do what they've always done in the video game space, which is just absorb all of the content and all of the publishing and all of the hardware assets that they can, so that way they don't have to worry about like exclusive licensing where they're only allowed to host Microsoft or only allowed to host Nintendo and all of that, because Nintendo's not going to get into the retail space, but they need GameStop as the medium. Microsoft's not going to get into the retail space, but they need GameStop as the medium. So it's, in my opinion, it's not in GameStop's best interest to do any type of deals where they would linking like permanent to these other publishing houses or video game companies. So I'd be curious. I haven't watched your videos yet. I'm definitely going to do that because I'm very interested in this now that I know a little bit more about it from you. I'm very curious what information you found that has implied that I agree, like all these things are happening on the peripherals, Pokemon, all of that type of stuff. Totally makes sense. I have no doubt that there's NFT stuff happening with Pokemon. No doubt at all. No doubt that Nvidia is doing their AR thing with the Omniverse and all of that. 100%. I guess the part that I'm curious about is what evidence have you found that specifically links GameStop in some way to this, or is that just like an assumption that is being made because they're GameStop, so they must be involved?
So GameStop's a $2 billion company. Nintendo has $9 billion ready for acquisitions. And Pokemon is a private company that has never IPO'd. People have tried getting Nintendo to IPO it. So my theory is that a reverse merger, GameStop into Pokemon Company, would force close all the shorts and force, because they would have to hand them all the stock to the Pokemon Company so it can redistribute the new market cap. But that was a couple months ago, and as time has gone on, I probably need to move away from the word merger. And it might not even be an acquisition, because the more time goes on, it's looking more and more likely that Ryan Cohn is not willing to give up that control to Nintendo, but is willing to continue as a strong partnership. Because obviously when MOAS happens, they're going to have all the money they need. They won't need Nintendo to help them out. So I'm going to concede that point to you there.
Good. I'm definitely like when you do that, I'm absolutely gonna tune into the YouTube. I'll absolutely subscribe because I'm now you got me invested. So I for sure want to keep an eye on this, and I'm definitely curious to figure out what you what you end up finding out. I agree. I'm glad that we kind of found that common ground there. I agree that I just don't think Cohen's willing to just walk away from it, and I think a merger is just not in the books for him. But you know, I could definitely be wrong. Who knows?
One thing I do know, Ryan Cohn has a plan. Ryan Cohn has taken on Amazon before. He did it successfully. He has run every business he's owned successfully, and he didn't get into GameStop as a whimsy fluke. He has a plan, and that, just like Deep Value has said, you know, you got to look at the fundamentals. You got to be prepared to hold a stock for 6 months to 3 years. Like, there's a reason for everything, and that's all I need to kind of tell my story. I got in on January. I watched the Citron Research live stream fail, and I said, I said, holy shit, that guy is so wrong. I got to get into GameStop. By the time I convinced my wife, we got in at $2.99 for a lot. and then you know, January 27th happened, and that was we had a talk after that. She wasn't happy about that, but I explained to her what was going on. We've held through. We've been adding, and we believe because we know and trust I've watched all the Deep Value videos. He is fundamentally right. He's always been right, regardless of, you know, what happened afterwards. He's always had a clear, great way of explaining GameStop. And then Ryan Cohn has done nothing but shown excellent leadership. And I am all in till the end of time if need be.
I also want to add that Ryan Cohen sold Chewy at a valuation 10 times less than what it's worth now so that he could spend time with family. Like his dad was dying. Like this is, to me, he just seems like such a good guy. And for all those reasons and you know, all the interviews that I've seen with him and all the memes that he posts, I mean, maybe that's not a good reason, but I think it's a great reason for me. He seems like a good guy. I trust him.
Look, I'm not trying to convince anyone to get out of GameStop. That's not my goal at all. I just want to try to bring a little bit of reality back into like the hopes and dreams of what NFTs and all of that can end up meaning, what the future can be. I do think that there are great things. I just think that we
Very
all need to be okay with
good
being
point.
3 to 5 years down the road to actually see that come to fruition.
All I could say is just do some more research on some of the more popular NFTs and how complex they can be. They're very advanced. It's crazy.
No, I'm 100%, yeah, fully aware of what NFTs can do, but the important part there is that properly build out ERC 721 tokens that actually are able to self-close or run alongside ERC 20s, regardless of the exchanges, take time to build out properly.
I agree.
And that's not like, and I agree that the team, while they may be new in the blockchain space, it is very telling to me, being with my knowledge of crypto, that they did hire people for blockchain specifically and not just smart contracts. There are people on there that are smart contract driven, like Fubar and things like that. But blockchain means that I do believe that they are going to do more than just simply mint an NFT. But I also realize that that's going to take significant amount of time to roll that out correctly.
Exactly.
So
They're definitely going to do something, but it's not going to happen next week.
I never said it was going to happen next week. I'm just saying that it's being done and it will be done. GameStop's laying the engineering foundation, the framework, with help from NVIDIA, I think. And then everybody's going to be able to just plug in their worlds, plug in their games as their system comes online. Then we can just choose what we want to play or what we want to buy or whatever, etc.
Well, so
Brent,
you've
you're
actually been
dreaming a
looking
lot.
at you've actually been obviously been looking at this more than everyone else. I'm curious what your take is from how long you've already said that Nintendo has been working on their AR stuff, and for how long Nvidia has been trying to roll forward with their Omniverse stuff. Do you think that they would be okay not going to market with any of their changes, with any of their updates at all, and for another 12 to 18 months?
Would they be okay with it?
Yeah, because realistically, if we are looking at a position where we are expecting them to plug and play into GameStop's, architecture of blockchain and what they want to do in this hypothetical world, that realistically is a 12 to 18 month timeline to see that come to fruition at minimum, which
I mean,
means
I'm
that
okay with that. I mean,
sure, but
you know,
I'm asking from the
more stuff.
perspective of like Niantic and Pokemon and Nintendo and all of that. Are they okay with sitting on all of the technology that they've already have been beta testing and wanting
Look
to
how
roll
long
out?
it takes Nintendo to release products. That's
Yeah, and they don't
a
have to.
silly
They don't have to
question.
sit on.
Well,
Yeah,
what
like
they do
I
if they need that plug-in from GameStop, they have to sit on it.
It's not possible. What you guys, there were really great ideas before. Listening, what about NFTs and in game and whatever. It was really great ideas, but that's not something gonna happen next week.
Nobody said it was gonna
I
happen.
don't think anyone's saying
I
that.
don't know why
Sure,
you keep saying
but that's nothing gonna happen midterm. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
but
something why we are long for the
that is
company.
why we're long. Exactly.
You
Look,
need
deep value
you need to
investing,
have more
right?
hope in your
Holding
soul, good
period.
sir. It's gonna
Warren
happen.
Buffett said,
I don't know
"My
when,
favorite
but
holding
you
period
gotta
is
have some
forever."
sunshine.
If it's forever, right? I mean, look, let's just assume that the shorts close. Let's not even consider MOAS or short selling or short squeezing or anything like that, right? If we're right about all this research that we've done, indices will need to buy these shares from us, right? Because they're going to be
We see it every day. We see it every
Yeah.
day when the US market starts. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, S&P 500 inclusion is currently on our current trajectory is inevitable. right? That is going to be an enormous catalyst. The amount of money in the NFT world, in the online gaming world, in the enormously expanded total addressable market that Ryan Cohen and his team has brought to the company, right? That is
I
going to
definitely
be
agree
a
that there's
huge
a lot of potential there. But to be honest, because you said Cohen is the best and whatever, I didn't experience him like he would be the best up to now.
Do you
Up to
hold
now,
GameStop?
my personal experience up to now.
So you're looking at a company like Chewy, and how exactly are you evaluating that as bearish? In your experience as an investor with GameStop, which I'm a little suspicious of you even being involved in, I mean, how exactly are you being bearish on Ryan Cohen, who is bringing forth and
I tell you why.
wrecking this space with Amazon talent,
Everything,
talent from
everything
Chewy?
everything fine. You tell the right point. That's perfectly good. What's happening? What I'm reading what's happening with the management team. But to be honest, he didn't. Ryan Cohen didn't, in my opinion, he didn't do anything good for GameStop up to now. He didn't do it.
What exactly did you want him to do? He bought 9 million shares and saved
I
the
wanted,
fucking company.
I would have expected him to stand up and say, "Okay, here I am, and that's gonna happen."
What exactly do you want him to do?
That was the last quarter. You know, this was the last quarter, whatever you call it in your terms. It was the last time I would have expected him to stand up and say, "That's gonna happen."
Wait.
Well, I mean, you can't really do much because of
He
all
also,
the
he's
lawsuits and
contractually,
everything.
yeah, he's contractually obligated. He's not allowed.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit
Under
there.
active SEC investigation, also he
Not
probably
on
can't speak much.
not on a financial way, but for the company side.
No,
Yeah,
you
but he's
can't.
not.
You
He's
can't.
not
Period.
allowed.
When he joined,
His investment from RC Ventures, part of his investment, it's in the filings in January, early January. He is not allowed to publicly discuss the company.
when he first joined
In
GameStop,
June,
the stock
in
was
June.
less than $10 per share, and it is now $220 per share. And after hours, it closed 2 pennies below 220. I mean, that is already a huge improvement just in share price alone. Not to mention that he got rid of all of the old incumbent leadership that wasn't doing anything on the C-suite, on the board, brought in all new people that
Stole
are
the
young,
plane.
are hungry. You know, this is still an ongoing thing. And
Last quarter, he said something like "buckle up," but nothing more.
Yeah,
And nothing more.
Okay, so let
You
me
know,
give you a timeline here, sir.
that's
So
what I.
he took over in January, okay?
Yeah,
January. In
sure.
6 months, no, let me finish.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
It-
You're right.
In six,
Yeah, you're right.
Can we get this guy muted until King can finish talking, please?
in 6 months, okay, you were talking about bringing on C-level talent, exiting the old guard that helped to keep GameStop afloat during a
You're right.
pandemic
You're right.
where, okay, so in that time from January to June, he has made bold moves behind the scenes, and for him to reveal anything that early, I don't know exactly what you're expecting, but that would be suicide. There's no point in doing that. If you're turning a business around, I mean, and especially to this magnitude with an NFT team going on blockchain, um, and with the experience that he has, there's no reason to announce anything. What was he going to announce in June that was going to change anything? There wasn't anything fundamentally available.
You're
So
right. You're right. Sorry. You're right. Yes.
okay. Well, I appreciate that. I don't understand where you're coming from or what you were trying to prove. If I mean, what do you want him to show you?
And to piggyback off of that, I think fundamentally this goes back to Ryan Cohen's style of leadership. One of the points he called out in that letter to the board that he was critical of is that the former GameStop board of directors, they would broadcast their moves, their corporate strategic moves ahead of time, so that the market could start anticipating and playing and figuring out how they're going to play those moves to their advantage. And so, as Ryan Cohen said, judge him and GameStop based on their actions, not on what they're communicating and saying that they're going to do.
Yeah, and I would just like to add quickly that I think that most people that know me outside of these spaces, like in Discord and Reddit and all that, have already labeled me a shill multiple times and are acknowledge that I'm like the biggest bear when it comes to MOAs and NFTs and all of that. The one thing that I'm definitely not bearish on is what Cohen can bring to GME. It may take years to make it happen, but I've seen nothing that would make me think that he isn't capable of doing amazing things. And to say that he has done nothing, I think I would echo the sentiment of it. I'd be really curious to find out what you would expect. What would he have had to do to make it so you're okay with his current role and you think and you have more confidence in him? Because I'm like completely unrelated to GME, unrelated to any position. I'm just curious what you as an investor would have liked to see.
I would just say that at this point, if you're not on board, you haven't done your research.
Well, and I think that like Antimatter had a great point too. They did say like, judge us on what we do and not what we say. Because I mean, that is actually a big thing. Like actions speak way louder than words. Like, you can have a company say, "Hey, yeah, we're going to do X, Y, Z," but I'm sorry, until I start seeing something, it's just dust. It's just bullshit at this point. So I mean, no, that's 100%. I'd rather see what a company is doing than them try to do, some
Empty
petty
promises.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Like
and one of the
I
best things that you're about to hear is for the first time, you're going to hear a new CEO speak. And this is going to be a whole new tone on this earnings call coming up next week. So this isn't going to be George Sherman coming on, giving a bland address, not taking any questions, that type of thing. I mean, I'm expecting a different tone. This call, I am definitely expecting a little bit more.
To be clear, you may not want to get that expectation up. I've sat on hundreds of earnings calls. Very rarely do you hear something other than the norm that George Sherman provided. It's not.
It's
not
not that. It's the tone. It's going to be the fact that there is a transformation ongoing, and I expect news. I really do. They have been silent.
I definitely agree. That's like I think I definitely expect news. And you guys were talking about NFTs before, and
This guy's a shill and we need to kick him. This is what form sliding is called. Okay? This is what form sliding is. This guy is a shill. Someone needed to say it. Also, if I can speak for like a quarter of a second, I just have like 2 things I want to say, and then I'm going to stop talking. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Jesus. All right, we're talking about a fucking electronics company, right? Okay. I work for Best Buy. Best Buy is literally falling apart from the inside right now. They're firing as many people as they possibly can to keep their numbers looking good on stock-wise, okay? This company is falling apart. What happened with Circuit City is going to happen again with Best Buy, and GameStop's going to pick up the slack. That's all I had to say. I'm going to mute myself now. Thank you.
No, you're fine, Dylan. And I know, I seriously, like, you can ask Lady and all of them. Like, we could not see you coming up. I would have brought you up as soon as I could. And you already left. But no, that's 100%. And guys, okay, I know everyone's wondering, like, why keep someone up here like that? So one, BullHouse likes every side of the story, right? That's how we get to the truth. We have to hear every side. But as you guys can see, the guys up here, King Diamond Hands, Brent, Conway, Jeremiah, I do cherish your opinion on a lot of things because you are knowledgeable on a lot of crap, which is ridiculous. You know, Conway, I've rubbed your ego too many times. King Diamond Hands, you too, Brent. Like all my guys up here, you're incredible, right? And so if anything to me, listening in, because that's why I didn't want to interrupt you guys. It's an even more bullish sentiment, right? Like that to me instills my faith into the company. I did look at the profile. I did look at it. Me and Lady we both agreed to bring him back up so you guys can hear. There is going to be people like that. We are going to hear people like that. And I know he's requesting again. And no, I'm not bringing you back up. I'm just not. Okay. That's not an echo chamber or anything like that. We've heard all sides. We know the downsides. We know what can happen. We know it's a long hold. We know it's going to happen like that. You're trying to say no, it's going to, but it can be that way. Like we don't know when the MOAS is going to happen. If anybody tells you when the MOAS is going to happen, well, I'd unfollow them because, well, that's just not how it goes. So with that being said, Brandon, I know you're waiting, and then I'm going to get into Invincibear, and then we're going to be calling it a night, guys, because we're going on 2.5 hours already.
I just want to say real quick, there's so many things right around the corner to look forward to, right? I mean, there is the earnings call coming up. GameStop now is releasing a bunch of news at the same time as when they have to do some official event like an earnings call. So I just like King, I expect to hear news next Wednesday. But beyond that, the DTCC said they are expecting increased margin calls starting tomorrow. You know, if that's true, and if the shorts are still short on GameStop, I want to stick around and see, right? What else is happening? The uncleared margin requirements, UMR for OTC derivatives, is the phase 5. That starts tomorrow, right? Oats, it gets deleted tomorrow. Cat is supposed to start soon. We don't know exactly when, right? So I want to see all these things. There's been a lot of news in the crypto world. I want to see if crypto crashes. Does that correlate with a rise in price of GameStop? This is all information that I want to stick around to see. Short interest reports due soon. The 25 times margin increase is this Friday at 10 a.m. You know, I'm expecting to see crypto crash because last time something similar happened, crypto crashed, and it crashed hard. It's all puzzle pieces on the table to look at, to examine, to try to see if your thesis is correct about all of these things, right? What else? 90-day cycles. Next week, Tuesday, the 7th, I believe that's the date. 90 days since the last spike from June 9th. If the cycle algorithm DD that Pone has done, you know, has spent so much time and hard work working on, that looks mathematically sound to me. I mean, I'm an idiot, so don't take my word for it. That's coming up. So is that pattern going to play out again? Like there's so many short-term and long-term catalysts to look forward to. Again, I'm in this for the long haul. Everybody listening, you do what you have to do. You do whatever you want to do. For me, if it goes down, I'm buying more. If it goes up, it just
You're
says
still
to me
buying
that
more.
I was right. Yeah, well, I am still buying more. Yeah, exactly. Full moon, I'm buying.
Oh, Jesus. Well, can I have some of your bank account? Because full moon, I don't know about that.
I'm just saying. You know, there's a lot of things to look forward. Monthly options expiration is in 2 weeks on the 17th. You know, quadruple witching day has kind of been a nothing burger, but that is coming up.
That whole put call thing on September 17th, I mean, there is a juicy looking ramp right there. We were talking today about the put call ratio actually echoing September 17th. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming up, and I haven't felt personally that June feeling in a while, but I've got it. I mean, I'm really excited about the next week, and I know that the cyclical nature of GameStop, I mean, if you've been in this for a while, you know it's coming. You can feel the run up. If we go red the next 3 days, I'll delete my account. I'm that bullish. I absolutely expect that we are going up. Doesn't mean calls. This is not a financial advice. Not telling you to buy FDs like Rod Altsman is doing. I don't know why the fuck he's doing that. But I guess that's old school behavior for you. So, yeah, I don't know. Buckle up. It's going to be cool.
Yeah. Brandon, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I appreciate the time to speak here. I just wanted to say that I really appreciate hearing this podcast. I listened to another that was really diverging and something not quite as intelligent. So to hear you guys talk about the future vision of GameStop, I've been an investor in the stocks since February. Just been buying and buying more. I'm with you guys on Ryan Cohen, his leadership, the new board, this the 100 plus executive talents that they've added. Just really bright future. But I guess in my heart, I have a drive to see our market come to balance or transparency and fairness across the board. And there's obviously so much deception and manipulation of our markets. And the question I had for you guys, the reason I wanted to speak was, is there anyone on this call that's an expert on or really has a good knowledge base in terms of this total return swap, hiding FTDs overseas, and how that's probably just prolonging or building the steam pressure in this pot that's ready to explode. And it certainly shouldn't have come to this level. But I just wondered where an expert here thinks that's going, and how we can see an end to the light in the tunnel.
I don't think we have any experts on the total return swaps present. If they are, please raise your hand. I am not an expert at all by any means, but the thing that it reminded me of was some DD that Charlie found today, was that Vanguard has established some mutual funds or ETFs or something that they've stuffed full of GameStop shares and treasuries, which seems like an odd mix of assets. But the way I'm looking at it and interpreting it, and again, I am not an expert, it seems to me like they're airbags. In case of something happening, a market downturn, if you're invested into these mutual funds, I think these are designed to be stable across a market downturn, because we know that the Fed is doing unlimited quantitative easing. Tapering is not on the table. They're talking about tapering just to appease the public, but if you actually read Jerome Powell's speech, he's not going to taper. And so demand for these treasuries is going to stay solid. It's going to increase the face value of these bonds. And the standing repo facility afterwards is going to generate demand when the Fed needs to offload their balance sheet. And so these instruments that Vanguard's putting together looks like it's going to help protect the majority of Americans. And
hey, Conway, can I ask you a question? Could it be
sure.
that they're mixing the treasury bonds with GameStop because since they're shorting treasury bonds?
Can you elaborate on that second part? That who's?
So there's some. I'll have to go back through. My brain's not working at the present moment, but we found back in May, maybe June, some of the big financial institutions are actually shorting treasury bonds.
Yeah, that's been going on for a while. So especially in the third, you can, if you Google Hedgeopia, how hedge funds are positioned, you will see an article. You can click on any dated article because there's a drop-down menu that'll take you to this month, and you can find it from there. It's titled COT Peek into the Future.
And so do you think they're pairing them? Do you think they're pairing them together because of that, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I think, look, if the data is correct, which I believe it is, short sellers have shorted way too much of.
Conway, I think we're losing you.
Hey, Ken, I'm trying to pull someone in who might be able to address that question.
Okay. Is Twitter Space having problems?
Maybe it's just Conway. I don't know.
So Brandon, if you'll type me up that question, and I will find someone that can answer it for you. Does that sound good? Can you guys still hear us?
I can. Okay, I see
Yeah,
him.
I can hear you. Yeah.
One
Okay.
second. Let me invite him.
So yeah. All right. So while we get that figured out, I'm Brandon. I will DM you. And Vince Bear, what was your question?
Okay.
Oh, hi. So I didn't actually have a specific question. I just wanted to comment on some of the earlier conversations that were happening, but I think that time has come and gone already. So I'm going to yield my time, as they say.
Thank you. All right. Hi Ho, are you connected or no? I don't know. He's like coming and going. Uh-oh. He might be having some issues. It looks like we're all having a little bit of issues here.
Yeah, I think we'll actually take this time. We can kind of call it for the night. I will try to host another GME soon, but this week is crypto week. So tomorrow we're going to be on with Radio, and she has a lot of knowledge that she's going to be dropping on everybody. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then Thursday, I think I have another thing with crypto. It might be an NFT thing. I can't remember. I have to redo my schedule. There's a few flip-flops that people had to make. So, but keep a lookout for that. I'll get that up as soon as I can. Everyone that joined us up here tonight, guys, it has been phenomenal. All the information, all the great stories. You guys are completely just amazing. It makes me even more bullish on GME, for lack of a better term. But yeah, like I said earlier, I am happy to announce we did make our YouTube partnership. Anything we make, 30% of it will be going to a charity to the community's choosing. I'll probably do that every couple months, so we can do like a bigger thing. And it'll be put up to a vote and everything. And then I am going to be launching our BullHouse magazine first edition. I announced this earlier, but the first edition will be free to everyone. I'm not going to charge anyone for it. Like, there's going to be like a monthly subscription, but that's because I want content creators and I want to be able to pay them so we get the best content possible. But the first edition, I'm going to be dragging in some of the original apes, or whatever you guys want to call them, to see if they can use some of the throwback DD, what got us here and what really kind of started this phenomenon. So, and then we'll have like meet the staff and everything. So I'm gonna have everyone kind of write up like how they got into investing or what's their backstory or whatever drives them to be part of the BullHouse. So that's gonna be the first edition. And then I can't decide between 300 and 500. I'm gonna make NFTs. I'm gonna figure that one out. I have no idea, so I'm going to research it. But there'll be a 300 to 500 NFT drop for it. That will be specific for the first edition. I'll try to bring Conway back up real quick. But those are my main final thoughts. Does anybody else have their final thoughts?
It's really funny where a juicy question pops up and I have data that I can point people to answer, and then my Twitter just crashes every single time. I mean, tinfoil hat on, but it's funny how that works. Anyway,
but you got a couple minutes. Go.
Okay. What's it called? We were talking about treasuries being shorted. If you Google Hedgeopia, how hedge funds are positioned, you'll see an article that pops up, COT, Peek into the Future, and you can click on the most current date to find the most current positioning. And you'll see graphs of how hedge funds have shorted treasuries. You're going to see a graph for the 10-year, you're going to see a graph for the 30-year, 30 years TLT. They shorted the 30-year treasury bond to a 4 standard deviation net short position. That is insane. If Pone was here, or if anybody here is even a little bit familiar with statistics and how a bell curve works, that is a tremendously short position to be taking. And to me, that is counterfeiting money. And I cannot imagine how the government, how the Treasury, or even how the Fed could possibly be happy with hedge funds doing this. This seems, to me, it seems treasonous, okay? So I think Vanguard making this fund and stuffing it full of US Treasuries and GameStop, things that we know are shorted and things that we believe are going to get short squeezed very soon. Yeah, I think this is their way of fighting back against an economic downturn in the near future, if one is coming, which I think it is. Yeah, the shorting of the treasuries, in my opinion, has been egregious. And if you look at the charts now, they're rallying. You know, all the bullish indicators that you could ask for, they're there across, you know, a variety of U.S. treasuries, no matter the duration for the most part, except for T-bills. T-bills are sliding.
Hey, thank you, Conway. Oh, no, never mind. Okay.
I was going to say, in Texas, we call that stealing.
Yeah, exactly. Not only that, though, because they shorted the 30-year, they're shorting US dollars 30 years into the future. These are our children, our grandchildren that they're, you know, that they're robbing, you know, by diluting the purchasing power of the dollar 30 years into the future. But they get the money now. I mean, this is I don't know. It just seems insane to me that you would short it that much.
So just to provide a little bit of, I'm not an expert on treasury bonds by any means, but just generally bonds and how shorting and the value of debt more than anything else goes, is anytime there's an economic downturn in any modern market, the shorting of treasury bonds is a go-to way of stabilizing your own income within a financial institution, because the likelihood of the government, U.S. government, ever actually defaulting on debt is essentially zero. The global economy relies on the U.S. dollar too much to allow that to happen, both for us and for our allies, and just the general world economy. So as a result, it's kind of understood that the risk of shorting treasury bonds are extremely low, because the default is essentially a net zero possibility of actually ever happening. And we are, like, you can track that the shorting of treasury bonds is not a new thing. It's happened multiple times anytime there is a significant economic downturn. We saw it in 2008. We saw it in 2010. We saw it tick up again slightly in 2013. COVID in 2020 decimated the global markets and global economy, obviously. That's the reason why interest rates are so phenomenally low. If interest rates are low, shorting is going to happen, because it's the only way that they can make the money back, or make it worthwhile to invest in it. And as far as the comment on like the 30-year devaluation of the dollar, what's interesting about that is that's a really quick, like, easy math to make, is the idea that, like, it's a 30-year treasury bond, so it's going to be shorted over the course of 30 years and drag the US dollar down with it. But the reality of our last 18 months is that the US dollar right now is already 33% devalued from where it was in 2019 because of COVID. So shorting in treasury bonds specifically is it's a double-edged sword, because too much, it can drive the market down. It can cause a lot of it can cause a lot of additional stress to the market. It can have people lose faith in the market. But at the same time, it is the safest area of shorting that can occur within the market, and it does serve to stabilize global economies or national economies that have gone through economic downturns, because it relies on the most stable income source in the world in order to back your investment, basically. So just not weighing one side or the other. Just wanted to provide that information.
It's stable because you know that the government's going to do or the Fed is going to do quantitative easing. They're going to conjure up imaginary money to do this quantitative easing in the case of a downturn, right? So if you're a hedge fund, you can short these things to get money now, and then if the dollar falls in value 30 years from now, who cares? Because you've already made your money. And because
I'm not saying that it's not fucked up. I'm just saying that, like, it's not a new thing that's happening.
Well, ordinary American people can get poorer and poorer, right? So let's be clear. That's what's going on. Okay.
No, I'm aware. I'm not arguing that it's a fucked up series of events, and the position that we are in is messed up, and does
four
have
standard
longer.
deviations short. Four standard deviations. Look up a bell curve.
I'm aware what a bell curve is, man. That doesn't matter in this perspective at all. The point is that treasury bonds and shorting treasury bonds is not something that is new within the market.
This is an insane situation.
I get you. I'm totally there with it. I'm just saying, like this is not like I feel like this is kind of tying back to what I said earlier, where we're convinced that, like, the market is going to crash tomorrow, and the realistic take on that is that the U.S. dollar drives the global economy, No global superpower wants the US market to crash. They will do everything they can to keep the US dollar from losing value because every currency is based off the US dollar since 1971. There's no way around that. The market cannot crash. If it does, it takes every country down with it. So as a result, the over-shorting of treasury bills, while it's ridiculous, it's still the most stable place to put money or pull money from because the US government's not going anywhere.
I mean, I agree that the US government is probably not going anywhere, but at the same time, the trust in our currency has been in an all-time low. The trust in the country has been an all-time low. The corruption indexes are at an all-time high, or actually, they're at an all-time low too, because a low score means that people don't trust the US. So these are all things that, should be taken seriously. There have been multiple talks all over the world about a new Bretton Woods. For history buffs, you know what New Bretton Woods is. New Bretton Woods was the agreement after World War II to establish the United States as the world reserve currency in the first place. And now people are talking about a new Bretton Woods. I mean, if people trusted the US and the US dollar and our financial markets, they wouldn't even be having these talks. And the fact that they're having them at all should be concerning.
Well, I mean, the reason why that conversation is coming up is because since 1971, when Nixon shock happened and destroyed the original Bretton Woods, it immediately sent all global economy into a tailspin that relied on the U.S. dollar to pull it out. That's the reason why, like Britain in the EU has for over a decade been trying to convince OPEC to let them use a euro to buy a barrel of oil, but they can't because the US dollar is a petrodollar. That's not going to change. We own the oil fields. It's our allies. That's the reason why we send we create wars there and send people to defend them. So like the reason why the US has 800 different military bases across 150 or 160 different countries of the world, even though 194 of them are considered allies, is because we're protecting our economy with our military. That's the reason why we spend so much in defense spending. The Bretton Woods conversations, they've been happening for 20 years too. They've been happening since 1971, actually, but they've definitely ticked up more now with the internet. I'm not trying to make a defense for anything that's happening. I'm not saying that this is not a serious situation or anything. It's definitely like building towards a point, and there are resettles and level sets that consolidations across the global markets that are inevitable and will have to happen. But it's also like I just want to make sure that we are we're not doom scrolling it, right? That we take it in stride and we realize that a lot of the stuff that's happening has been building for a long time, and it's still very likely going to continue building because as much as people may have distrust in the US government, as much as people may believe that corruption is very high, which I'm one of those and believe that that's true and also distrust my government, the reality is that there's just no other option. And unless all of us are ready to pick up our guns and storm the Capitol today, that's just not going to change ever.
Yeah, let's not talk about that one. All right, guys.
You know what I mean? We have to be realistic, I think, about our discussions.
Yeah, no, and I will
I think
welcome
we are
your
being
guys'.
realistic. I think we are. I think we have the opportunity here. I'm sorry, Kenna. I know I'm being rude, but I think we have the opportunity here to turn this thing around. And
I was just gonna say, I want you two both on. Hey Conway, I want you both on a broad market podcast because I think this is gonna. Yeah, I'm dragging you both into a broad market because this is an awesome topic and I can actually touch on all of this. So, because this is a 2-3 hour just on that what you guys are talking about, and I would love to get into it because you guys have great points. But I know it's getting late in the European countries and my butt's falling asleep over here at 1:00 in the morning. So, we're gonna call it, and tomorrow we're gonna have a good day. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Yes, I'm still trying to figure out what day it is of the week. And I look forward to it. Like we're gonna have a good week, guys. Right? Jamie's gonna do some fun things, I think. Yeah. Yes. All right, guys.
I mean, even if it doesn't, we should have a good week. Conway, I appreciate your insight, man.